All right. And we are live. The Last Word, Campfire with Lord Cognito and Ebontis, Friday evening edition. What is going on, man? Regular day in the neighborhood. What's going on, man?
Just, getting through the holiday with just literally my wife and I. Pretty quiet holidays and everything. But we got another gentleman before we get to talking about too much stuff. We got a returning guest, and it is the one, the only, the nicest guy dressed in the room. TieGuyTravis is back. How you doing, man?
Hey, man. How you doing? McClunky, everyone, and a happy Thanksgiving to you all.
Hold on, I got to back you. I cooked up something nice for him.
Oh, you did have one for him?
Oh,
wow.
I didn't think
we got to do this right.
Oh, okay.
We got to do this
Hold
right.
on.
MC Cog.
Rewind, back it up.
Rewind, selector.
Here we go. All right, record again. Now we go.
Welcome to The Last Word, episode number 129. It's a glorious Friday. We're back in front of the campfire for some more looter-shooter discussion. I'm extremely excited about our returning guest, so we're going to get right into it. I want to introduce a true lord who is not only a connoisseur when it comes to the world of Destiny, but also contains a plethora of knowledge pertaining to the Fast and the Furious, and of course, the iconic Star Wars universe. Introducing the reviewer / online personality of IGN and a panelist of Destiny's Fire Team Chat, Lord McClunky himself. And the unapologetic Titan main who will always remind you why other Destiny classes just can't compete. Live from San Fran and making his return at the campfire of The Last Word, my man, Lord TieGuyTravis. How you doing again, sir?
Wow, McClunky. See, he knows how to do it with style.
Yeah.
You got to learn from the master here. You can learn a lot. You can learn a lot. I mean, Titans for life, but Warlocks know how to zhuzh it up, I think.
See, at least the one we know how to, we know how to expand or expound on things. We're very good at that.
MC Warlocks. So you got you and Deej, both Warlock mains, both good at the spoken word. I respect it,
brother. Good to have you back at the campfire, sir. Has been a long time since we've seen you, right?
Yeah, it was like 6 weeks ago. Not even.
I think it was about a month. Yeah, it feels like I
month.
wasn't here
I was
that
like,
long ago.
We'll have you back and be like, all right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's weird is I missed you guys. Like I mean, maybe that's not weird, but
no.
I've been on other shows since, and including Fire Team Chat, and I was like, man, I had a really good conversation with those guys at the Last Word. I should go back on that. So
likewise,
I was excited to hear you guys.
We had a ball. Yeah, I think one of the clips I cut went like viral with you.
Hilarious. Oh my god, just absolutely ripping. And it was you nailed that one. So no, we had a blast with you. So we're happy to have you back. We'll just get you rotating in, even though I think your plate's about to get a little more full, but.
That's okay. I'll always make time for you guys. Always make time for you.
Thank you very much.
He didn't get Hollywood on us, man. He's getting big, but he's still maintaining his level.
See, if you get to know him early before he's that big star, you can be in his entourage. You can be in his entourage.
Yeah, because you know what's gonna happen. Like once he get too big, then it's like our people gonna have to speak to his people before we can get to him.
Oh yeah.
Got to get that marketing approval, that proper question list to go down.
Got to get PR involved. You already.
He's already got the look for it, so then he's just got to live up to the.
Hey, you're the one with the wealth and the old estate.
Oh my word, that is such bullshit. It is not even funny. These guys are making stuff up right now. This is just trash.
He was like, Papa, the pony you got me last year wasn't nearly as good.
I love this.
See, I can't do accents, so I can't even counter back because my English is nothing. So I'm not even going to try.
Well, that's why you're Dallas. English is nothing. What is more Dallas than that, right?
Wow.
I love when you create backstories for each. I just love it because they all fit. They all seem very feasible.
They're making up my backstory. Like Cognito's now just going to do a new thing, and he's going to bring me in with a fake backstory, and then Travis is going to write it for him. That's just what happens.
No, you know what you look like? I have to do this every show. I have to come up like,
you know what you look like? Here we go.
You look like one of those guys who like you were in Point Break. You were in the movie Point Break, but like a side character, you had like 2 speaking lines, but you still bring it up all the time. Like anybody talks to you, like, I was in Point Break. That's what you look like. That's very specific.
Do you remember that scene around the campfire? That guy in the corner, you can barely. That was me. That was me.
That was
over there.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Well, how was your for everybody? You guys, how was your holidays? Do you guys see family? Anybody keep it quiet at home? What'd you guys end up doing?
Yeah, I usually don't do anything for Thanksgiving. It's like for me the holidays. I don't really go hang out with family in my life, so I usually spend time catching up on games and work and all that stuff. But this time I saw my girlfriend's family, which we all got COVID tests to make it safe, which was
that's
it was
the
cool.
best way to go. Honestly, applaud you for doing that. Good job.
Yeah, it was our first it was my first Thanksgiving, like proper Thanksgiving with turkey and all that. So it's. Well, I feel like I'm in one of those movies that I saw on TV. And
you're like Travis in his own little rom-com over here. Be like, oh, it's the first Thanksgiving or four Christmases or something. What about you, Cog? Get to see anybody a little bit?
Nah, low key worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, somebody's got to do it. But now I actually got some efficient farming, going on, and we'll talk about, obviously all the stuff we experienced with the Beyond Light DLC, the raid. I know we got a ton of stuff to talk about, but actually, man, I get excited when there's a Nightfall farm. Like there's the double rewards.
Yep.
And I was eating up, man. So I was catching up. I was low on materials. So it was a good week for that Nightfall to come through.
Isn't that the real meaning of Thanksgiving? Is farming for items in Destiny?
Just consuming too much of whatever it is. That's what it means.
What are you guys thankful for in Destiny this year? What?
I know what I can tell you mine's right now.
Go for it. What do you got?
The Lament. I am thankful for the Lament farming these Nightfalls because, man, that sword, woo! Like, and I'm not a sword guy.
If you go play Gambit, you're going to have some fun.
Oh, I did.
Oh my god, the boss melt is ridiculous. I saw Paul Tassi was writing about
that. It's laughable. It almost sounds, when you do the combo, it sounds like the cartoon, like a 10 hit.
Yeah, it hits so many times. It's hilarious. I love that sound effect.
I love it. And it just eviscerates people.
Oh, it is. That's a perfect word for it because there's not much left.
Yeah, that's a great sword. The animation is so great. The jump. I don't get bored of using it, and I've been using it in Crucible actually because I have one of the bounties this week to get Crucible kills or whatever for the darkness artifacts or whatever.
Yep.
And I've just been running around with that sword and killing things. It's actually not that bad in Crucible because it's got distance. That jump, people don't expect it. You block a few bullets and then you jump into the attack.
Yes. That makes sense.
Pretty good,
actually.
Yeah.
Very good. Very efficient.
How about you, E? What are you thankful for in Destiny?
See, that's a tough one. I don't want to go. I am continually thankful for this community that makes so much drama out of nothing that you're usually always going to find something to see on your Twitter thread. Like,
we got to talk about that.
I was like, we'll talk about that too. But yeah, it's like the community is amazing at times, ridiculous at times, stupid, nitpicky. Mm-hmm. We're all over the place, and it always keeps you guessing.
Feelings.
Yeah.
About that. I know what you're talking about.
No, but I was like, I will honestly say, like, we'll get to it, but I will say last week was perfect to have him on for Sky because there's a point in the raid, the music, I had been listening to songs and one of them just hit and I didn't want to move. I just wanted to stop and listen to it. And I was just like, and I didn't want, I had the raid to keep going because I was being dragged through it before my anniversary dinner. But no, that music it hit so perfect. And I was like,
so good.
Oh, so good. So that was, that would be a recent one. So
yeah, shout out to Scott, shout out to you. For me, when obviously spoilers, if you haven't, when the raid goes to a different locale.
Yeah, that's a fair way to say it. We'll get full spoilers here in a minute.
Oh, my God. Like, if you haven't done it, it's not only is it special aesthetically, there's the music when it hits there. It's just very grandiose, very reflective. It's just really cool. And it just, again, I tell people all the time. I was on a podcast and people were like, they like asking like games in a generation, like, we know you're going to say Destiny, Cog. We know you. You're going to say. And I said, the reason why I said, if you told me I'm going to be playing the same game for 6 years, consistently. Mm-hmm. And they were like, well, what is it? And I said, there's moments like that raid, those cooperative experiences, they're just unmatched in any other console. I know the WoW guys, I know they've had what they have, but this is different. It just hits different. You got the skybox, the gunplay, all that stuff, and the friendships and stuff. And again, going through that raid, it brought back all those feels why I love this damn game. I can never stop. When they keep producing stuff like
it almost erases all of the sins and shortfalls and annoyances of Destiny. It's just like at the end of the day, it's about these moments that connect you to people forever. Like I have a story. Like during the Destiny 1 days when the Taken King came out, I met a guy online and we started raiding together and we would play together all the time. You know the story. This is everyone's story in Destiny where you come, buds with somebody that you've never met before. And a couple years ago, I think it was actually last year, he hit me up and was like, yo, I want you to come to my wedding. And he lives in Washington, D.C. I live in San Francisco. So I'd never met him before, but I was like, you know what? I spend so much time with you. I feel like I should be at your wedding. Because I remember, we were doing a raid one morning and I was like, hey, why couldn't you raid with us last night? And he's like, I went to this party and it was actually pretty cool. I ended up staying up really late because I met this girl. And that was the girl he married all these years later. Wow. So it's like, I felt like I was a part of the relationship. Yes, it's like I was there in the morning when after you met her. And yeah, so I went to his wedding and, we didn't have a ton of time to talk because it was him, his whole family, his wife's whole family, and then just me, some random guy even on Destiny. And like I knew no one there except for the guy, and so it was funny when we did see each other. He was like, "Yo, Destiny, we got to talk a little bit about Destiny."
Yeah, you gotta get it in, right?
Yeah, facts, man. It's so true. It's so true. Like those are the type of relationships that Destiny forms, and like you said, you when you go through those experiences, they're so team building. They bond you, and it's like you get through it, and it's such like shout out to Forte, shout out to Sin. We had a good team. Shout out to Deaf Singer. Let me shout him out live.
He got the rocket.
Right. You know those moments when you try to be happy for someone, but you're like, God damn, I wanted that. Like I was happy for him, but I was like, really? And I'm like, because the chances are so hard to get that thing. Yeah. But all jokes aside, like, salute to him, man. They go Citizens in the chat. Shout out to Citizens. When Death got that what is it? The Eyes of Tomorrow? What is it called?
Eyes of Tomorrow. Yeah, that's it.
Eyes of Tomorrow. And I'm sitting there like, trying to hold it in. Because I've never gotten a 1K. I've never got any of that kind of stuff.
I don't have 1K either.
But in his defense,
you don't still? Wow. Sad times.
Yeah, but that's salute to them, man. A good raid team. We got to shout Wilhelm Screams. Got to shout Scream. Oh, Scream was part of it too. So yeah, it was very, very cool getting that done.
Yeah, I love that raid. I mean, we can talk about it when we get to the part where we talk about the raid and my review and all that stuff. But yeah, the raid was classic, and I spent 13 hours that day doing it, so I was online like all day. My girlfriend had never seen a raid before. She didn't even know what it was. I explained what a raid was the night before. I was like, hey, just so you know, you're about to see some stuff. All right, no, she was there for it because she's a gamer. She was like, okay, I mean, I'll just hang out and watch, but I have no idea what's going on. And then after she watched the raid and she was like giving me tips like, oh, maybe you solve this, like try this, method she like had, because we did it totally blind. Yeah. She was totally like a team player. But then afterwards, when we beat it, she was cheering. I was like so relieved to beat it. And then afterwards she goes, wait, so when are you going to hang out with those guys again? And I was like, oh, I mean, that was just a raid group. I met them that day. Like we just hung out. And she was like, you're never going to talk to Meatball again? One of the guys' names was Meatball in the group. He's like, you're never gonna. And I'm like, no. I mean, this is raiding. This is Destiny. You meet people, you make super strong connections and bonds, and then you move on and you make the next one. And unless it's really serious, but
it's true.
Yeah,
man.
It was great, man.
Hollybot, what's up, Aries? What's going on, brother?
Yeah.
Chilling, good to see
That's
him
awesome,
up in there.
It's like I was in it for about 15 hours. My group was just at Eric's, and it was, I told you, Travis, it was just people couldn't stay alive. And that's kind of that was the endurance test for a lot of people. And I've heard different people's discussions about that specific fight, where it was the one, oddly, it wasn't the end, it was in the middle that broke a lot of people. And that was, but yeah, it was
tough
it's been,
we spent about 6 hours on that one, which that was like the most grading encounter. It was just like it took so long, and it took us a long time to figure out the mechanics behind it because we weren't looking anything up. And then once we beat that and we got to the third encounter, which you guys know what that one is. Yep. It just rejuvenated all of us. We beat that on our second try. Nice. And it was just like, like we were just so excited at that part. Like,
Nice.
So, and then the rest of the time on the final boss fight, which was just a massive DPS check.
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah. Didn't have enough ammo.
Yeah.
That's a great mechanic, like having famine turned on. Famine, what a great modifier.
Yeah. Well, that's like since, I mean, just in general Destiny things, the whole heavy ammo, no heavy ammo sense, like you could have a timer on it, but every so often you just get a bad run of luck and you're like, I am just out. Yeah. I need something and I can't do anything about it. And you guys build the counters around me having X amount of DPS most likely, and it's just not there.
Or specifically in contest mode where like, you're 20 below and it's a huge DPS check on the boss, and you know you're not going to have enough ammo. Like my groups, we beat it in day one, so I got the emblem and all that, which was awesome. But the way that we did it it felt cheesy. Like what we did was we had double special weapons and then power, spike grenade launcher, and we had that mod equipped where doing a finisher drops a special ammo bricks.
For the team,
and so we spent the first half of each phase, just getting special drips to drop all over the map. And then the second half building up supers. And then we would just, literally all of us were just using shotguns as our primary to get rid of all the enemies, and then Izanagi's as our other
Izzy.
Special, and then the grenade launcher.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're doing shotgun, Izzy. What was it there?
We did shotgun, Izzy, and so a slug shotgun, Izanagi, and a spike grenade launcher. So we all were just power weapons, specifically because we kept getting to that final damage check. And we were just so dry on ammo. None of us had special. None of us had heavy. So we were like, we just can't do enough damage to this guy. Like, how can we solve this problem? And so we were just like, I think somebody proposed, they were like, all right, this is going to sound crazy, but what if we all just got rid of our primary weapons? We were like, dude, we've been at this for 12 hours. Let's try it. And we did it like that. It was our first try. We broke it. So
four bomb strat or a 2-bomb strat?
2-bomb strat. I didn't even know there was a 1-bot strat. So I haven't played the raid again since that night because it was 13 hours. I wrote my review. My review just went live on Tuesday. So it's been like 3 days since. And with the holidays, I haven't had time to go back. I want to play it tomorrow, though, because I'm really excited to play through it, especially at high power.
Oh,
where I have the power advantage.
Like
that sounds fun.
I will say, I got to go through it on Tuesday with a really solid group. And I knew the mechanics before, through Atrax. We knew the mechanics. We got through full damage cycles, kicking everything out of the airlock. We were doing 4 at once in the airlock, which probably isn't the right thing, but we were doing that and managed.
Oh, wow.
It was like that. We had sequences going, it was, stupid flubs here, res tokens, which still pissed me off, but that's a whole different thing. But yeah, when we got back there and I'm sitting there just using my gnawing hunger like I was, full clip of my gnawing hunger just to do one stupid little shank in contest, and now it's just I'm like, it was oh man, it was night and day. So when you go back in there, it's going to be something else,
brother.
I can't wait, man. That's going to be a lot of fun. I want to LFG it or play it on Xbox because I did the original on PC, or something like that. But yeah, I'm gonna have fun.
But for that section, I gotta roll on Risk Runner.
Oh no!
Ooh, really?
Lord, you will sit there and just tank stuff. It is ridiculous. Risk Runner is
that's cool.
Ridiculous in that raid, especially that was it the Atrix fight.
Yeah,
that one. Oh, when you going up and down.
Those the tracking on. We're literally in the middle of the raid talk right now, but
this is what's happening.
There's no plan to this episode. You got this man is from Fire Team Chat. You got bullet points and times to hit. We are free roaming right now.
Raid talk is too juicy. Continue.
Yeah,
that's good.
No, but before we go too deep into that, I did want to kind of get back to the man of the hour and just talk about kind of your review. What is your process to go through for a review of this size? And I know a live service game is going to be different than here's a start, here's a finish. Even if it's Assassin's Creed, this is grinding, leveling up, and going through all this stuff. What does this do to kind of your experience to an expansion versus previous ones and all that stuff? So lay it on us. How's the review process been, and where did you land?
Yeah, so in general, reviews at IGN or my kind of policy for any one I write for is if it's not a lives game, it's very different. You get the game in advance, so you'll have 3 weeks, 2 weeks, maybe even a month runtime if it's an open world RPG. The guy who's reviewing Cyberpunk, he's already got 200 hours in it, right, at IGN. So he's already playing that game, because it's not a service game. The way Destiny has done it before, every live service game has kind of a different way to do it since we don't have access to the servers until it's available to everyone. But Bungie's way of doing it has been to invite people to Bungie HQ and you play an offline version of the entire campaign on their servers. It's called an on-site review. And so that's what I've done ever since The Taken King. I've, gone to Bungie HQ and played it early and then done the review. And then typically there's some stuff they don't let us play. Obviously we can't play the raid because they do contests and world firsts and stuff, and we can't know in advance because that would taint their whole process. But yeah, the way that it's been happening post-COVID has basically been, hey, anything you need, let us know, but you're not going to get to play it until everyone else. And that was the case with Beyond Light. So Beyond Light, I was just sort of like, all right, well, I've got access to their resources if I need it. You know, their team will help me out. But I basically have to play it along with everyone else. So it was an absolute sprint, but it's fine because I'm a Destiny player. Like I'm used to the sprint, you know, even if I do an on-site review, like when I reviewed, you know, Destiny 2 Vanilla, I was in Seattle for like a week playing the game, and I did pretty much everything that the game had in it, which in Destiny 2 Vanilla was a lot. Like we were just waking up every day, playing it, and just at nighttime we would go to bed, and it was all in a hotel like conference room, right? So we just like, I didn't even see the sun for like 5 days. Like that was basically what happened during that review process. And then when I come home, the game comes out like a couple weeks later, and I have to start over because all of my save was on their offline servers.
Right?
Yeah, so none of they import my character, so I'm playing on my character when I'm there. But as soon as I leave, they delete all that stuff you did, and you have to wait for the servers to go live. So my experience with Destiny has been get ready to run through all of the DLC twice, and each time do the full grind to get to the max level.
So was this actually better because
this was easier for me?
Okay.
It wasn't better because better is, you know, stuff in advance, you do most of the writing, and then you touch on it as you play through it on your second one. So it wasn't a better process, but it was certainly easier time wise for me. Like I didn't have to play through it twice. But yeah, it was an interesting process to play alongside all of you guys and not know anything going into it. But yeah, ultimately, my review, I'll just start off here. The score is a 7, which in IGN means good. My method for doing IGN scores is based on the word. Like IGN associates a word with each of their grades, right? And 7 is good, 6 is okay, 8 is great, yada yada, right? And so to me, 7 is a fair score. When I reviewed Shadowkeep last year, IGN had a different scoring system. They had a 100-point system, so they would allow decimals. They got rid of that to simplify it. Dan Stapleton was sort of the champion of getting rid of all of the decimals because it is more specific, but some would argue, and I definitely see his argument here, is that it's like not helpfully specific. Like it's like, what is the difference between a 7.2 and a 7.3? Like I couldn't tell you. Like we didn't have hard definitions there. And so our readers would be like, why did this get a 7.4 versus 7.2? It's just kind of confusing. And so the rule now is that if it would have been a 7.9, it's a 7. It only gets the 8 if it would have been an 8 or an 8.1 or 8.2. It has to kind of hit that threshold, right?
Gotcha.
And so Shadowkeep was a 7.9, which in back a year ago, my thinking was it's really good, but it's not great. I wouldn't call it like a groundbreaking, expansion. And I think this is a very similar situation, to be honest. I think ultimately Beyond Light is good. I would even say it's really good in some spots, but it has a lot that's holding it back. It's super light on content. There's that whole Destiny grind thing. And I titled my review "The Devil You Know," which is a pun, but it's also it's the devil you know. Like this is the Destiny we've been dealing with for 6 years. It's sort of this, it's got all of the strengths and all of the problems. The strengths being the campaign is fun, the new abilities are cool, the raid is absolutely amazing, and the downsides being the grind is bad. The story is kind of just okay. The sandbox is imbalanced. All the stuff that we've been dealing with every DLC that's come out, it's all back and it's in Destiny, and it seems kind of like they're just continuing along this path and doing the same thing that they've done since Destiny started. So that was my ultimate assessment. I think that, it has some stuff that's really good. I think the story is strong. I still have the problem. We talked about it last time I was on the show. They killed off Aramis.
Yeah, I mean,
technically they froze her.
Well,
technically they froze her. She could come back. I was thinking at the end of this season, we'll have a thing like Uldren waking up from the ghost. We'll have like Aramis cracking a little bit, or something like that. I could see that as like an allusion to maybe her having more part in the story.
Didn't we get her health to the very end, but it didn't wipe away? I could have sworn I remembered something like that before she froze up.
Oh, like her health bar?
When her health bar. Yeah. Her health bar does not go away completely. She's definitely not dead, in my opinion.
In my opinion, too.
it could be one of those things where like the darkness takes her, or they just decide not to use her because of the reception to her, which I don't think has been great.
Really?
I personally really liked Aramis, but just people I've talked to, like I know Destin feels pretty strongly about this, is that like it was an interesting story, but you're more confused why they're telling it. Like, what does Aramis have to do with anything? Because to me, this season was going to be about our conflict and using the darkness. Right. And that sort of darkness plot line of like, should we be doing this, was sort of hand waved. Like the ghost feels bad about it and people are kind of warning you about it. And straight up the stranger goes, yo, like the darkness, like it caused all of her downfall, like in an alternate reality. And like, which is like, that should be a red flag. Like, dude, this is bad. Let's not use it. And then it ends with like you going, all right, we're going to use it anyway. And maybe it'll turn out better. And the ghost is totally fine with it now for some reason.
Zavala is the only one who calls you out and says like, hey, so we're done with the darkness, right? And you're like, okay, sure.
Okay, sure.
And I know Lightfall is a working title. I think that year is just going to be called Destiny 2 Told You So. And it's going to be Zavala's face on the cover, just being like, you use the darkness. I warned you. Yeah, it's going to be one of those things.
You've let fear.
I think. You were consumed by fear. It's going to be the Star Wars
dark side there.
But I really hated that. I hated the whole, like, every time they talk about the darkness, I was like, oh, is this going to be the moment? Like, are they finally going to be like, we shouldn't be doing this? Or is there going to be a chat? I was thinking maybe there's a chapter after Aramis dies where it kind of pivots to not being so much about Aramis and being about this larger conflict. Maybe that would be what the end game was about. Not really. The end game is about, what's going on with Clovis Bray and that whole technology. And Clovis Bray is super scary and probably going to be like an evil Rasputin in the next chapter of Destiny was my assessment. But yeah, I'm very I'm not underwhelmed by the story they told. I'm just a little confused why they told it, and it feels like a side quest to me. It doesn't feel like it's related to the main struggle that's going on with the darkness, and I really think the hand waving of how we're okay with using the darkness is very confusing to me.
I was like, that's like the story is, it's one of those where you're like, you kind of you can empathize with Aramis, is like they've been through hell. The Traveler basically screwed them over, left them high and dry. Now they're trying to say, Traveler, did us wrong. We've got the darkness is actually going to give us powers. She punches, like the symbolism of Aramis, which got explained to me between Twitch chat and everything else, of her punching the servitor was huge. So you actually see that happen and her trying to break free and finding a different way to do it. And then you see the darkness, for one, turn on her, as we're talking about in the campaign where she gets frozen. And then it's like hard right. Like you're on the highway and you're like, oh, this is the Aramis story. Skirt. Okay, now we're going over on a Clovis Road and we're on a completely different path. And you're going, it was kind of cool. It's like, hey, we're on Europa. We've got some stuff to fight. This is not really what you're doing. And that's why you said it's like, you got like Critis, who, by the way, I hate that fight. The one when you fight the...
Oh, that's harder than Aramis.
Yeah. She was worse than Aramis,
She was worse than Aramis.
Yeah, she was a pain.
She's freezing you in mid-jump across platforms, and then you just sink like a rock, falling. Like an anchor, to your death.
Yeah.
She's no joke.
Actually, the order of difficulty in the boss fights is reversed. It's exactly the opposite. The first most difficult is the first boss fight. Oh, wait, no. The first one's against the hunter, isn't it?
Phylax?
Yeah, the hunter's actually not hard at all. But yeah, the one that you fight at the beginning who's freezing you as you jump across ledges, like that one's like the worst. And then the drone guy, the robot guy is the second hardest. And then Aramis is just a joke. Like you just blow through her.
Yeah. It's weird. But yeah, it's like, and then, but what I did appreciate, I will say, for story-wise, is how we got background of the stranger. We actually got to see her and Anna talk, which was like a huge moment. When you go in that lost sector
awesome.
And you're like, I was like, she's here. I'm like, I don't know if I was watching on stream or if my stream was working at that point, but I was like, they're actually next to each other. They have their out. She like teleports out. Like Elsie's, kind of giving you more and more as you go. It's like, all of that's really cool for her, but it's like where Aramis was just like a vehicle to get us there. And then after that, now it's like, that's, as you said, it's like it's the side quest, but it's what you started with, which is odd. It's like that almost feels like this could be a seasonal thing. Like, hey, the Fallen are coming in, deal with Aramis, here's some stuff while we travel down the Stranger and Clovis path. So it's...
Yeah, they also just have a lot of plot threads. Like Now the season of the hunt has began. That's a separate plot. The Clovis Bray thing is still going. The Aramis question is unanswered. The Darkness question is unanswered. And hey, the opening lines of the DLC are 5 planets disappeared. We need to go to Europa to find out why, and we don't find out why. In fact, we don't even really try to find out why. We don't follow.
I will give you that.
You know, like it's very weird. So their storytelling just seems a little disjointed at this point, which is all, again, this is not new to Destiny. This has always been the problem. Disjointed storytelling. And that's my overall, if you ask me like what I think of Beyond Light, it's if you like Destiny in the past, you're going to love Beyond Light. If you didn't, you're probably not, because nothing has really changed in the grand scheme of things. If you loved raids, this raid is fantastic. It's such a fun raid. You're going to love it. If you liked the story, this is pretty on par with what you've experienced in the past, but I wouldn't say that it's groundbreaking. The reason I denied it the 8 score is because I wouldn't say that it's like great. It didn't attain greatness. It's sort of just, it's goodness. It's more good Destiny, just more, but it's not really an evolution.
But not greatness.
Yeah. Yeah. So
you had a hand raised there, Cognito. What do you got?
You had an opinion to battle with McClunky sometimes.
Let's do it.
I hear where he's coming from, and I don't want to make it seem like he's off base and he's saying like, not invalid points and stuff like that. I do agree with him on the hard turn. I do agree with him on the reasoning, right, as far as the darkness, right? Because it was like, planets disappeared. Why are we really going to use some power that is just responsible for all these deaths? And that's really not explained well. And that's a good point. That's something that's always in the back of my mind. Like, we went to Europa to see what's going on. We get there and it's like automatically you have to use this. You have to use this. You know what I'm saying? Now, the only thing I will say is I actually did like the Ghost interaction. I felt, the Ghost, what's his name, did a fantastic job. Was it Nolan? Is Nolan North?
Nolan North is the voice actor.
Yeah, he was on fire. Again, my reasons why. Period Ghost. But that's another story. Anyway, he did a phenomenal job, and I like the conflicted part about it, and then, apologizing and stuff. But here's why I differ. For me, I do coming in, Aramis is there just to get us to where we have to go, right? So I wasn't too concerned with that. My whole thing was, okay, after that story was complete, I actually really enjoyed the Clovis Bray stuff. Like, I really loved it. Like, I thought it was well done. I thought the actress, who's the actress for The Stranger, she's amazing. Like, every time I hear her narrate or explain something and her motivations and Dark Future and Anna, and like you said, the Anna Bray thing was very key for me. The meeting, that was very key for me. Obviously, Clovis, to me, he kind of stole the show for me. He became this, I thought he was like this super sinister thing. But he has like a lot of different things going. He's all about his legacy, and he's got a lot of things. And then just as a bad parent, and he's got all these little things.
Parent,
he just got all these little things going on. So I want to hate him, but I'm gonna be honest. Like, when I'm doing the EXO challenges, I love his arrogance. Like, oh, so you're the one that LC's putting the faith in? Oh, figure she's saying like, you share her foolish. I just love him. Like, whoever's doing him as an actor, amazing job. I felt the voice acting for the most part was on point. Obviously, story threads, yes, I agree with you, but I felt they were so strong that I actually was like, narrative team, I was kind of digging y'all. I kind of had a connection. And then even with the raid, I'm like, we telling a little story about stuff.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, the story that's told in the raid, that's one of the highlights, I think, of that raid.
Very cool kind of stuff. And whatever. Now, again, what's funny is the Crow and the Osiris stuff, that's like extra. Like, I was surprised I was even in there. I was like, you technically could have been December. You know what I'm saying? Like, you technically could have been December. Like, but I was like, okay, this is a new little thing. And then we got the cool cinematic. Shout out to Osiris. Put a drink out. Put a drink out for Segura. Put a drink out for Segura. Put a drink out for Segura, man. A man went in there.
How long can he stay alive, realistically?
That's back in the tower. It's a wrap. I think I know what they're doing with him. I think my prediction, see if I'm wrong, is now that the curse, remember, Zavala lifted his exile. So now he's back in the tower. If you look, he's in there. Sinister showed me. I was like, what? I went to the tower. He's like, he's right next to Ikora.
He's in Zavala's office, right?
First, he was there when you start the game, as far as just communicating via a comm.
Yep.
But now he's literally in the tower. In the tower. If you go to where Ikora is, is in that left hand space to the left of her. But yeah, so the vibe I'm getting is that he's definitely gonna be on the side of light when they do this whole, Civil War thing, who's on the side of light, whatever. And I think they're actually setting him up for a speakerish role. That's what I'm going with. Yeah, because I feel what they need to understand is that one thing about Osiris is he kind of, even though he's on the side of light, he'll use grayish methods to get there. Right? He's not necessarily the Puritan Zavala kind of guy. He's gonna do what's effective. Even the letter that's another part of the narrative that I loved with the crow. Did you read the letter that Osiris sent you, the Guardian? Okay. So that part is really cool because he's like, look, I know you want to kill this man. I know, I get it. We get this. But right now, this Ziva Araf thing, this is a bigger picture. Please, let's not disclose this in due time. See, that's something Zavala would never do. Like he's toting that line of grace. So now I feel his character always was a guy that he's the wandering character. He goes off to go figure out this, and I think now it's Zagira's guy. That's it. He's one more, he gets the final death now. So I think now they're keeping him in the tower and he's going to be more of an advisory role. The only thing I would like is at least him and Saint to have their little, the bro hug. Which
just go walk in the tower one time, give the dude a hug.
Over there, give him a bro hug. Come on. Y'all brothers.
More than a bro hug. I mean, let's be real.
Whoa.
Hey, man. It's a lover's cradle, is what it is.
Judgment-free zone, baby. Love for your love.
Spooning. Hard spooning.
Hard spooning. You stupid.
Who's the big spoon in that situation, though?
Listen, he works for
sure. Saint 14.
It's got to be Saint, right? Yeah, Saint's the big spoon for sure.
Absolutely.
What? No, come on. He's in a dress already. He's in the.
Y'all, listen. You know who runs trials, right? For my man.
Who doesn't want to be held by those big Titan arms? That's all I'm saying.
Come on.
Listen, your man works for my man. You're the little spoon. You do the trials. Get out there and work the trials while I go around doing real work.
Literally, like the Titans defend with the bubble. They give you that surrounding comfort. They give you that hug of comfort.
This is what happens when it's lovemaking time. When it's what did they call that event? The duos event.
Crimson Doubles or whatever.
When it's Crimson Doubles time, he puts down that bubble in the bedroom. All right. He sets up that Titan barricade.
I can't with you.
In front of the door to keep that thing closed.
I can't.
And he wraps those Titan arms around that warlock, and they get it done. That's all I'm gonna say. We know this for a fact.
I love the depth that you just took. That you've got you've got like the 4-post bed frame. That's the bubble of safety. The barricade in front. There's one more joke I'm gonna pass because that's too dirty. But anyways,
moving along. But all jokes aside, like I feel like they're setting up the character for something different, and actually he's going to be around. I just feel like this was what it is. But look, disjointed, yes, but I felt it was one of the better jobs for the narrative team, character building, stuff like that.
Yep.
And then to your point, now this is where I'm 50-50 with you on this point because you said. The thing that it's back to the grind, right? Mm-hmm. And doing those over and over. And you're right. You are not wrong for that. Where I don't mind it is because a lot of it now is option. Either do like when you go to she's like, do you want to get your aspect because you want to do Crucible? Do you want to do Strikes? Do you want to do Gambit? So that part I don't mind. I think this is where I differ. I think the problem with the season is that sometimes they want us to do activities that we don't like. They want us to do a seasonal activity that we don't like. Throw balls at this. Do this all season. Especially if it doesn't hit right. Like if you got those ones where the sundial is cool, menagerie is cool. When it hits right, you want to do it, right? Yeah. But when it don't hit right, and it's that same tired, terrible activity that we got to do the whole season. That's why I actually mind them giving me the option to say, okay, you know what? I'm in love with Gambit right now. So I'm gonna stay in Gambit to get these things done, and they're giving me a little bit more options. But ultimately, it's to your point, which is there need to be more things in the game. There's still a deficiency there. You know what I'm saying? I'm not absolving them. I'm just saying I just prefer this to the old way. But overall, look, you were fair. I thought your review was spot on so much for the most part. And look, man, I will say this. My little anecdotal evidence is that from people that I've talked to that are not Destiny fans who are now either in Game Pass or they're picking it up, and they're like, yo, Cog, I'm ashamed to say that I'm liking Destiny, right? Like, people are telling me this all the time. When are you coming? I said, December 8th, when you get 60 frames. See you there.
Nice.
Console on the patch day.
I largely agree with you. I have 3 things I want to say. One,
let's get to it.
Season of the Hunt was not included in my review. It is being sold separately.
Good point.
My review is about Beyond Light.
So, right. My bad. I forgot about that.
That's actually kind of hard because I have to remove from my brain anything that every player has access to, right? So I just have to think about, what are you getting in Beyond Light? You're getting a new subclass. You're getting a short campaign. You don't get any Crucible maps. You get one strike.
Valid.
That's it.
Yep.
Right? 2, I do think the storytelling is good in the main campaign. I actually think it's one of the stronger campaigns. I think Aramis is a great villain because she's the only one that you actually have like sympathy for. Like, I get her motives and all that stuff. I think that's really cool. My issue with the storytelling is that it's not a great entry point, and the stuff that they decide to focus on is a little weird. Like, I think the Clovis Bray thing is great, but this DLC wasn't about Clovis Bray. It was about Aramis, and it was sort of like a hunt thing that ended really quickly, and then the Aramis thing got shoved into the end game rather than being brought to the forefront. And I think it was probably their stronger storyline, to be honest. And then the raid obviously was really good. That I will give you 100%. I actually think this is the best raid in terms of storytelling because you do not have to read the grimoire to understand anything that's going on. It's very clear what's happening at every stage of the boss fight. Unlike, I would say the other one is King's Fall, maybe Crota's End 2. You kind of understood what was going on in those raids. But I would say that this one, more than anything, you really understood it, in that third encounter, where you enter a new location and all that stuff. It's unlike anything we've seen in a Destiny raid. So I 100% agree with you. For me, it's more that the story feels a little disjointed and it doesn't hit on all the parts. Like we mentioned, the darkness thing and why you were using it. That whole thing is kind of a miss for me. And then finally, the last one, it does let you do whatever you want in terms of the grind. You're totally right about that. The freedom of the grind to choose your activities is great, but 2 of their game modes of the 3 that they're telling you to spend all your time doing don't work. Crucible is broken. Crucible is broken right now. It's hard to play.
Fight the good fight, brother.
Gambit is broken because they have not given that game the love and attention it deserves. And now with Lament, you can melt the boss in 4 seconds, and it's barely a game mode 2. And then strikes, they removed more than half of the strikes.
True.
And so now the playlist is as small as ever. It's the way that they have formulated the grind that hurts me, not the fact that, you obviously have some independence and some choice into how you do the grind, but the actual ecosystem that they've created right now is a little concerning. There's not a ton to do. And so, I agree with everything you said. I think the stuff they're doing on Season of the Hunt is awesome. If that was in my maybe, that would have won them some points, because I think the story
got you that half a point into the 8 zone.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. That wasn't my review. But
Steve's like, I think I said something to you, and I probably called a 7. I don't even know if you said it or not, but I was like, I said, because I don't know if I'd read it when I sent you a DM, and I was just like, it feels like it would probably fall in a 7 because of all those things. Yeah, the choice to do strikes are a good thing, but then I have my brother on the other side who's sitting there trying to get an aspect, and he has to get stasis, champion kills in a nightfall, which is just absolutely just like want to pull your hair out, pull your hair out level of aggravating because multiple people may be doing the same thing. You have to make sure your ability is up. Then you have to do a champion. You have to do something at a high enough level, and it has to be in a nightfall strike. So then you're doing the same strike over and over and over and over just to try and get those. And that's the point where, you do have some choice to do those. I went into Gambit. I actually didn't mind getting my aspects or my fragments in Gambit. I did every single one of them in there. Now, granted, I did about probably half of mine before the Lament came out, which is a different discussion. But you have like, hey, get blockers with stasis. That was probably one of the harder ones, but I kind of figured, my timing there hovered by the blocker thing a little bit more. But that felt more natural. Crucible, I don't know. I didn't touch that with the aspects at all. So I don't know how that is.
I did everything in Crucible.
There's one part I can't stand. It's the defeat slowed combatants.
That one sucks. Yeah, so I did one in Gambit and one in Strikes just so I could say that I knew what all of those quest lines were like. And the thing I hate about the Gambit and the Strikes one, and even the Crucible one, is I do not like any quests that makes you play in a way that is detrimental to winning the game.
Yes.
If you are going for the Gambit thing, you are playing Gambit in a way that will make your team lose. Yep. Yes. And other people are being selfish. You know, if they're trying to get kills with a heavy weapon, they're like hogging all the heavy ammo and not helping kill ads. They're invading if they have to get invasion kills and not helping with anything else or depositing motes. They're just being selfish. And I do not blame them. I do the same thing, but it just sucks to be on those teams. And in Crucible, now I'm trying to get kills with a sword. Is that going to help my KD? Absolutely not. But like, I'm going to do it because it's my aspect
I'm going to hoard the heavy ammo and here we go.
Yeah, that exactly. Was kind of the thing. I'm going to the heavy ammo every round to make sure I can get some kills with it. So yeah, man, it's the quest grind is it's better than it's been in the past. It's definitely been worse. I mean, we're not just doing Vault of Glass and waiting for those boots to drop for 3 years. You know, it's not that bad. But
hold on, I gotta give it before I give it back to you, Ian. I know you got a lot to say. We can't gloss over something that they did that I've always, as far as a raid, because I really think the raid is so good that it deserved that extra point there. But we're gonna fight. But let me tell you why.
Fair enough, man.
Tell you why.
Fair enough.
Let me tell you why.
Hey, I was on the cusp.
To be full transparency, I was on the cusp, and I want to give Destiny an 8 or 9 or even a 10. I want to so bad, dude. Bro, but it's just
fair. I'm being messy. Don't pay me.
Yeah.
I'm being messy.
Go for it.
Here's my thing. As far as I'm a Vault of Glass guy, obviously. Of course, you know I love it. But here's the thing: I always give Wrath of the Machine its due for the most fun and rewarding raid. Right? This hit so many things for me. One, raid legendaries with unique perks. Reconstruction is beast. Have y'all got that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my! Like again, finally, value to raid weapons to make me want to farm. Then we've got arguably Galahorn 2.0, right? This thing is insane, right? So a worthy raid weapon, completion weapon that you could farm for. But to me, and we brought our raid mods back, which is good. But to me, this is what they want. When you beat the raid and you go to that chest, and if you have raid spoils of war, or whatever they call it, you now have the ability to individually farm what you want. That to me is huge because that's what makes you want to keep raiding even after you got the pinnacle. There's still that incentive. Like they finally back in pocket with that. And to me, I was so furious with them because I felt Wrath of the Machine with the Siva keys thing was the perfect system. And I'm like, why did they go away from it? And this is what I'm talking about. So again, I'm going to fight for that Deepstone Crypt, man. That Deepstone Crypt is amazing. Narrative, the attempts, all the bosses, the scenicness that we talked about that we're going to spoil. And it's so rewarding because they actually addressed a lot of issues that I had with Destiny 2 raid specifically. But continue. I'm done with my raid.
No, the raid is easily an 8. It's at least an 8. It's probably higher than that if you're grading the raid alone. But for me, you know, it's a small piece of the puzzle, and relatively speaking, it's you know, one of the pieces of endgame. And what is a player's journey getting to be raid ready to even do that activity if they can get there? What's the player
and how many people even run
after they've completed the raid once and then they want to do it, you know, 5, 10 more times? I mean, I want to do it a bunch more times, but like
they told us contest mode. They told us what contest mode was. They told us what the light level was for the first time.
I'm talking about non-contest mode. Now you have to even go higher. The grind is actually even higher to get to play the raid now because the raid is uncapped. So I think that and also here's another thing. The raids have always been great in Destiny. Anytime there's a raid, it's been good. Even if you're talking to Crota's End or one of the, you know, Leviathan, one of the weaker ones, they're still the most fun thing you can do in Destiny. Like everyone knows that. And so to me, it's like great it broke a barrier, right? It went like a step further than it had been before. And to me, this expansion is exactly what I expected. We were talking last time I was on the show. What were all the pipe dreams we had?
Right.
Oh, maybe there's a secret second location. Oh, maybe, you know, we're going to go to the other moon and all this stuff. None of that happened, dude. They didn't even use the Cosmodrome, really, which we had predicted.
Right.
Oh, the Cosmodrome will be their second location so that they don't have to build a second one.
Mhm.
We went there and we said, hey, look, there's a spider tank. All right, let's go home. Like, that was the whole
You're right.
section of that game. And I have not been back to the Cosmodrome since.
I have not.
Right?
That's just, to
Like-
me, it's a new light player
The
experience.
only thing you'll go there for
Yeah.
is lost sector grinding.
Yeah.
Lost Sector grinding. And there's another thing. Like,
That's
the
actually a
content
really
that they
cool
do
thing.
have.
Mm.
So the Lost Sector stuff, I've actually been enjoying that. But my
That's
problem
great.
with it is that
Mhm.
they rely a lot on the Lost Sector, and I think the reason for it's pretty obvious because there's not a whole lot
Content.
for them to rest on, and
Mhm.
and you're doing those Lost Sectors during the Stranger quest lines in the end game. You're doing them again when it's time to grind some of those bounties, and you're just going to the Lost Sectors a lot, and I think it's because there's one new strike. They can only send you there so many times.
Yeah, that
right?
is egregious.
Yeah,
I gotta give you that.
1.5 strikes. Yeah, because you got
That's
the
egregious.
That's right. There's the other one.
the
That's right.
Cosmodrome one, which is
Yeah.
kind of bonus, but still, it's like
I think that one is. So I had to look all this stuff up, but and I have it written down somewhere. But I'm speaking out of pocket right now. I think that one is available to everyone.
Oh, okay.
So that
I would
one doesn't
imagine
even count
so.
as a Beyond Light Strike. I don't think, because the Cosmodrome
Gotcha.
is available to anybody who owns Destiny 2
yeah, that's the new light
as a
experiences
location.
there.
So
Yeah.
is Europa, but you can't do anything there.
I feel you.
Like
Yeah,
just wander
yeah.
around and do bounties or patrols
I
or something.
interrupted your my Deep Stone Crypt rant. I interrupted with your thoughts in general. Like,
Oh, I mean, it's like we've covered and touched on just about everything. It's like the Lost Sector grind to get the exotics. You know what? I am honestly happy. I cannot go to Xur, buy the engram, and get a new exotic. I have to go earn the new exotics. I'm like, thank you. Let me put some effort in, have a little
spoke to
modifiers. The
you.
1250 feels pretty good. I haven't done a 1280 yet.
Mhm.
And it's like, that's actually a cool way to do it. I did about 5 on one location. I switched over, and then it was like the first one I ran for arms. I got my Icefall Mantle. Now, I will say my Icefall Mantle roll is so trash. I almost turned around and ran it as much as I could again because it is like the worst roll that I could possibly have.
Mhm.
It's like 20 mobility and 20. It's so bad. It's so weird. It's
Like,
just the
so it's
wrong
spiked
roll for what I
weird,
need.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that didn't help anything. So I was like, well, I have it, but I may as well not use it. But it's still, I like the idea of that's how you have to go get them. So that was cool. You had the exo challenges while you're running through those were an additional thing. You had, and the 2 of those that have been so far, it was like, I remember these pieces in the trailer. I'm like, where are these things in the trailer? We still haven't seen them. Now we see like the jumping puzzle with the first exo challenge with like the dark pyramid and then with the little fire hopping. I'm like, this is Ghost of Tsushima. If you guys did that,
Yes.
if you did the challenge where you have to stay in the heat, and I was like, all right, I know this one. And then you have the new one where it's like shooting all the keys and stuff. So I was like, those are a cool experience. I don't know how many of those there are going to be, 3 or 6 or whatever rotation they have. You actually have the Eclipse Zone. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Is that what it's called?
zones.
Yeah. If you get hit by that stuff, it actually hurts.
Yeah.
You can actually get smacked by the debris.
I haven't really
Yeah.
seen it fall anywhere. Like, I've been in the Eclipse zones
Oh.
for a while doing bounties and stuff,
Oh,
and
I
I
see them right
I've
near
seen
me
it
now.
falling in the background, but
It'll
yeah.
actually hit the ground.
Yeah. I see them hit the ground.
Yeah, so it will.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it's like there's little touches like that that are like, but so much as you said, it's like as hardcore people, we tend to play everything, find everything, unlock everything. We're going to do it all and see everything. But the average person who comes in, hey, here's this campaign. Hey, okay, I just got stasis. Okay, go talk to a stranger, do a couple things. Like for a casual person who doesn't kind of know all the nooks and crannies to look in, I can see where like, a 6 or a 7, if you just see this Aramis campaign and then, oh, she's done. All right. And also think about how many people raid. What is it? 10% of the population, maybe?
Well, we
I
got
think it's
some new
5%. They
we got
said
some new
something
numbers.
like
We got
that.
Well, I was
so-
like,
some
and
new
again, this
increases.
one had a lot
But
more
here's
people.
the thing. I'm doing it for me. I'm saying here's what I thought of the review.
Yeah.
But all a review is a person's opinion. I'm not
Right.
trying to say what you'll think of it. Like
Right.
you might like it more than I did. But
Yep.
for me, it doesn't do enough new. That's really what it
Yeah.
is. It doesn't do enough new. It doesn't give me a loop that is satisfying where I feel like I'm constantly doing new things or having unique experience. And then some other things that just straight up breaks, like Crucible. It's kind of in a broken state right now. I don't know how else to say it.
Shout out to Stasis.
Yeah, stasis. Yeah. And that was the one other thing, like stasis. And I want to go back and listen to the Vidoc or something where they're like, hey, stasis is going to be this thing. We're going to have the element in the game and all. It's on one weapon. There are no shields on enemies. There are no, like, there's not a legendary shotgun that has stasis on it. But I was actually listening to DCP because I was driving around and I try and get all the podcasts going. And part of they were saying is like, well, what would it add? And I think Tefty said one, and I think this is what it would be. It's like, okay, you're just right now playing a match game of colors. That's all you really do with our energy.
Right.
Does this shield match this color of gun that you're shooting? Cool, you broke the shield. Or you can, if match game is on. That's
and
really
stasis is outside of that, which is also
right. And
stasis
stasis is the first one where that functions differently. You have the freezing or the priming and detonating from Anthem and stuff. You have the change the way you play. And this is where it's like, and this is one of those things we would love to see. It's like, and this is how deep are they ever going to go down the RPG hole?
No.
And this is where it was like, Data was talking about it. And it's like, it was a good point to bring up, but it's like, how far are they going to pull away from it being a shooter and embrace the RPG side of it? Because if you have something like solar weapons, catch an enemy on fire. If you have an arc weapon, you give people electricity and it could chain to other people. And it's just all energy weapons of that type could do that. And they could have effects to them. And that's where I wonder, what are we going to do with like Witch Queen and Poison? Are all these new ones going to be so cool, but are they just going to be abilities and the weapons never change? All the stuff that like it, I think right now I'm in a bigger point of, I wish I knew what they had coming, because part of me is exactly in Travis's shoes where it's going, okay, so yeah, we got to go grind the same stuff again. The raid was cool, and you're going to raid it a lot, and there's some new perks, and I like the lore, how it's tied in, but also it's like the lore, it's continually a mess because there's 16 different things going on at the same time. But on the other side, it's just kind of like the stuff they're setting up could be really cool if they deliver on half of what could be going through my mind. And I guess that's the point of like, we're 6 years into Destiny, now we're in year 7, and then on the other side, we're at this point where some of us, we've been playing all these strikes and now we have half of them and Gambit's kind of broken and Crucible's even more screwed and you got to spend time in all of those and you're like, I'm 4 years into Destiny 2 now. Is this getting a little long in the tooth? And it's that weird balance of I'm still oddly hopeful for the future while the game is still very ultra grindy. And I'm in a weird paradox in my head of like, I don't know which side to embrace. It's very odd. Sorry, that was a very long-winded answer to that.
No, I'm just analyzing you guys' thoughts, and it's funny. Like I think we're all three. I think obviously you, E, and Travis. You guys are kind of the same pocket, and I get it. I definitely get it. I don't know. Maybe I'm too positive. I don't know. I don't know.
I agree with you, and I people, at least Destin and Brian, are always saying that I'm the most positive person on Fireteam Chat, which is kind of weird to me because I feel like I do nothing but complain. Like that just is kind of my whole element. But yeah, like to me, like I love Destiny, but I'm always going to be somebody who's pushing it, right? And I need to push it in the direction. And
you guys are the pushers for sure.
Friends are honest with each other. Like if an expansion is good, I'm going to call it good. But until they push it, until I feel like they're pushing the envelope and doing some stuff that's really changing the franchise, I'm not going to give that to them. And so I think,
you should. As you should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to be surprised and like, oh wow, this really takes it to the next level. Right. When the Taken King came out, it changed so much about the way Destiny worked. To me, that's a 9. That's amazing, which is a 9 in IGN. Like,
I agree.
I think that's transformative. For me, this was just more Destiny. Forsaken would probably also be 9. Destin did that one. I think I also reviewed it for a different outlet at the time, but yeah, to me that's easily an 8 or a 9 because that one changed a lot of the way Destiny works, and it was a huge campaign. It had a second location. There were tons of content. We were busy with Forsaken for a long time. I feel like I've already experienced all that this expansion has. Like now we're on to Season of the Hunt. I'm sure that will have more stuff, but personally, I feel like I'm kind of done. Right? Like at this point, I'm just sort of grinding and continuing to play and doing stuff in Crucible. But yeah, I feel like I'm out of surprises and it didn't really take a whole lot of time. And none of the surprises were life-changing. They weren't like huge, like, impactful Destiny things. But that said, me as a critic aside, I had so much fun with this expansion.
That's for me.
The campaign was so much fun. Like the raid was amazing. Like,
do we want to talk about that? Do we want to just like
can we just jump to it?
Like, so I want to give a giant spoiler warning. We're about an hour in, and before we get to the raid, I do want to mention one thing. If you guys are watching video, I've got a shirt on right now. It says G2G20, and it's Game to Give. And basically, what this is the charity drive that Bungie is doing. They paired up with the Children's Miracle Network of Hospitals, and it's the Bungie Foundation. It's the iPad for the Kids program. And if you guys have ever seen that, I mean, when little kids go to hospitals, especially if it's something major, they're in a world of somewhere they don't want to be, and the iPad is there. It's like a comfort for them. And that's what Bungie has done, this whole charity drive to get these iPads into kids' hands and give them some piece of comfort when they get into the hospital, which is really, really cool. And then on the other side, you have the Children's Miracle Network of Hospitals. And basically, this whole entire charity drive is split 50-50. So it's literally all for the little lights. Again, always Bungie doing amazing things. And I love where I don't know who started Little Lights, but I love that little term.
I love that. Yeah,
because it's amazing. So
I call them kindergardians.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice.
Kindergartens, Little Lights, all of those. So there's a link in chat. I'm going to put the link everywhere. I'm going to do another video on it as well. But I want to let you guys know the donate button may say like support me, but really is just it's support the cause. It's my link to help you guys get the money to the cause. So the link will be in chat. The link will be everywhere if you guys want to tune in. 100% of the proceeds go there. It is not to me. But for you guys, if you do donate, $10 gets you a chance to get a gift card, which is kind of cool. But 25 will get you the emblem in-game and also a ghost shell to show that you guys supported. $50 this time around gets you another emblem. It's honestly forget the name off the top of my head, but it's that second tier. And then if you guys go up to $100, it's a chance to win. You can get some of the collector's edition, like the package with the splinter. Some really cool stuff in there. So if you guys, I know this is a crazy year. Do not do anything detrimental to yourself to donate. But if you are in a point where you're comfortable and you can donate, please do. So that's all I wanted to say on that one. And I just kind of wanted to bring it back.
It's a worthy cause. I 100% support that. If I can go on a tangent.
Absolutely. Yes.
When was the last time you guys found like a squeaker in Destiny? Like a young person. I don't run into kids anymore. And I play on console. Yeah. You guys are on PC, so there's probably fewer children. But like, I haven't run into a kid in a long time. I always used to. Like every raid group, if we were LFGing, there was like one person who was quiet until you made them talk because they didn't want to reveal that they were a kid because they're afraid of getting booted. Like that was just all the time. And it hasn't happened in a while. And I talked to a guy in a strike recently. We got in a strike and they just invited me to the party. It was one of those random like people you match with things. And he was telling me that he's like 18 and he was like, yeah, Destiny 1 came out when I was like a kid. Like my first console was an Xbox One or a PS4. And I played Destiny, and Destiny was like my first video game. And hearing him say that, it made me feel ancient because Destiny was not the first game I ever played. You're still younger than us,
so thanks. By the way,
I'm still younger than you guys, but like Destiny being your first video game is crazy, which is it's crazy to me. But also, it made me think like, I wonder if kids are just like into different stuff, and is that bad for Destiny? Like, does that kind of, it makes me a little worried. Like, is Destiny kind of, because to me, your health with young people is sort of a measure of your upward trajectory. Like, people are going to be playing your game into the future, and I'm kind of like, is it all people like me that are kind of young-ish or even middle-aged kind of that are playing Destiny? So, that's a good point. I don't know, just something I was thinking about. But yeah, if anything, this charity drive may be a good opportunity to get children playing Destiny. If instead of Fortnite, and
I was going to say all those kids playing that Fortnite battle royales out there.
I think we will be saving a child if we can make one kid play Destiny instead of Fortnite, right? Like.
I did, like you said, like somebody like was playing first game on console as Destiny 1. Somebody said it and it absolutely blew my mind. Can you imagine somebody's first console is the next gen or now current gen, whatever? Somebody's first console is going to be a PS5 or a Series X. Like this is where they start gaming. And I'm like, dude, coming from 8-bit Nintendo, I was like, man, you are getting a pretty damn good start in life. But
yeah, I can't even. I have no like. For me, I got a cell phone when I was in college. Like because, like I said, we were talking before the show. Like I grew up super poor. Like I had no money. So when I was in college, I had a smartphone, and I was like, wow, a phone you can carry in your pocket. Kids are gonna take that for granted. They've had an iPad when they're like 3 years old. Even their toys are basically tablets now. It's kind of wild. So. Yeah, I can't imagine having a $500 Xbox Series X as your first console.
Your first console,
Your first console. You know, I say that, but apparently the Super Nintendo in today's money was like $800. It was like way more than, like, apparently the old consoles were just like way more money than the current ones.
I mean, N64 games were $80 at a point, and people are freaking out over 70 right now, and I'm going... Do you guys have any idea how long games have been $60 and like the amount of money? There's a reason there's DLCs and microtransactions because these things are insanely expensive to make and they used to cost more. Like video games are like movie tickets go up, like houses are stupidly expensive, rent, all these things, but somehow games are still $60. I'm like, So I mean, there's points where I sit there and I play games like a Last of Us or a Ghost of Tsushima or a Destiny. I'm like, oh, that expansion's $100. I'm like, okay. Now, granted, that comes from a place of we're going to go back to this again, where I'm like, I've had a point where it's like, you know, college and jobs and schools and things like that is like where that amount of money is a thing. But it's like to appreciate what they were back then and the amount of development that goes into some of these things now. It's like to pay these people what they're worth and stuff. And then you see people going through crunch and stuff. Like when you get to be an adult going through all these things, I'm like, the price of video games is a very, very weird thing. And it's just, it's kind of weird when somebody was like, somebody's new console is one of these. And I was like, damn, I don't even know what to think about that.
I have envy. Dude, Cog, the way you and I grew up, we kind of have similar backgrounds. Yep. Imagine your mom, you know, buys you like the new console as a kid and it's a Series X and you have Game Pass. Oh, that's like a kid in the candy store every day. Every week you're getting like 4 new games. You're telling me that dude, for me, I had to like, I was on the streets running grifts to try to afford the nearest console and game. Like I was,
facts.
You know,
big facts.
That was my life.
He's out here playing the group art we got tonight. It's going down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. Here's what we're gonna do, guys. Here's the new scam to get the new Xbox game. Yeah. That was me and my brothers. We were just always coming up with
pooling resources, like doing all you could to try to scrounge together,
or being friends with someone you didn't really like because they had a PlayStation 2.
Right. And it was all about, you know, even, could you bring that over? Could I check that out? You know, the borrow culture. And it was just,
can I come over? Is your mom cool? You know?
Yes,
that whole thing. Yeah, that was me.
Now it's like, you just hit the nail on the head. Now it's like a kid could be like,
somebody, Prescott in chat said, my nephew didn't know what an Ethernet cord was because he had wireless internet for his 13 years of life. And I was like, wow. Oh, my house is wired now just because it's still better.
It is better. Yeah, I have Ethernet. Right now, this whole chat is on Ethernet. So
hey, thank my internet. But yeah, random story about my internet, by the way. I'm going crazy. I've got my brother who's like literally IT networking anyway. I'm doing ping tests and upload speed tests. I had a guy come out, said it was fine. I'm getting packet loss everywhere. Trying to stream, I'm dropping like 30% of my frames. It's completely unusable. Finally, I had a guy come out on like a Sunday. He's like, starts at my house, then goes to the back, and finally, like, he's like, there's packet loss literally from your node outside your house. It's like, cool, I don't have to go buy a bunch of, I was wondering, is my motherboard screwed up? Like my LAN ports? I'm going through everything possible in my head.
Troubleshooting, baby.
With my brother, he has me go through router port after router port at home, check in everything.
The surface layers, the different layers, man.
Finally, like,
Cog, can you imagine living in Dallas?
Not with that
internet. You got that. Where are you at? San Francisco?
San Francisco, baby. I got Google Fiber. I get 1.5 gigs a second, baby. I'm just saying.
That's not fair.
Hey,
literally.
Hey, E, you got that nice PC. All that power brought so low by your rural internet. Not so fun over there now, is it, Tex?
He said not so
fun. Man. Wow,
he's going for him. Listen,
dude, we are both Titans. Why is this happening right now?
I'm just giving you flack.
Listen, man, at the end of the day, I know it's not E's choice. You know what I'm saying? So
that's right.
It was up to, if E had choice, I know he would have thrown, as we say on the Island Podcast, he'd have thrown his ISP in the bushes and went with fiber or whatever. To trust me,
like the best option I have is what I have. So I have 900 gigabit down. No, 900 megabit down. I did upgrade to that after a couple phone calls and arguments and other things. 40 megabits
you have a data cap, I bet?
No, I actually don't have a cap.
Oh, that's great. Good for you. Yeah,
but no, my upload, 900 down, 40 up. 40 is as fast as my entire area can go up. It's just not, it's on coaxial. It can't, there's no fiber in my area. That's why.
Coax. Oh, yeah. Womp womp.
Womp indeed. Anyway, all those separations aside, full spoiler warning. If you want to see the raid blind, if you don't want to hear about special stuff that happens, we're going to go full raid discussion because that happened Saturday. I spent 15 hours. I don't know how long Cognity's doing in there. You finished it. I finished it later. We've seen it all. Who wants to go first?
You finished it day one, Cog?
No,
he didn't.
No, we had to do that in chunks, baby. We had to do that in chunks, man. Like there's parts where the team was breaking, and one thing I try to tell, we had one person. Shout out to get my boy Cat Dad. It's his first ever, contest mode. Never. He literally just got into Destiny at Shadowkeep, I believe, and he's like hardcore now. So he was like, "Look, man, I heard about these raids. I want to be there with you guys. I'm trying to." you never want to kill someone's enthusiasm, right? But he's like, dude, world's first, bro. I'm ready. I'm leveled up. And I'm like, easy, son. You're not ready for what you have no idea. Because the thing is, people don't understand, besides the communication, right? The problem solving. And the thing is, and my clan, there tends to be a lot of alphas. Everybody wants to drive the ship and say,
the Iron Lords of royalty are alphas. Have you ever watched that podcast? You can't get a word in edgewise, man.
Exactly.
Yeah. So then try and do a raid.
Exactly. So what it is, I have to take the role of the calming sage. I have to not
how warlock of you.
Yeah, very warlock,
seriously.
very, very calming Osiris, Osirian
comes
influence.
Floating down.
I float down. I say,
allow me to bring you my healing pool.
No, this is what I picture Cog as. He is the calm-natured until you piss him off, and then he Ikora Nova bombs your ass.
Yeah.
It's all the way,
you nailed
and
me.
then bam.
You nailed me. Yeah, he did. Yeah, facts. Big,
you
that is literally me.
You're good until you snap, I think.
Yes, that is absolutely me. I have a very big temper that I've learned to control over the years.
But he's got some darkness in him.
Yeah, it's just a lot of darkness. So people know when I snap, they go, oh God, he pissed them off. But anyway, so we get into this thing and we get to the security section. So first of all, shout out to
security
Sparrow
encounter
first.
number 1.
Yeah, so Sparrow first. All right, so Sparrow.
I forgot about the Sparrow.
Full confession, I hated it because I was terrible at it. I held up my entire team because I was so awful at it. I felt so bad. I'm like, damn, we're messing this up right now. And it's all because of me. I don't know where the sting is. Then they're making me jump off the Sparrow. I'm like, why? But why is it so long? Why are you not spawning me ahead? Like, give me, like when the game's supposed to carry you.
You want those? You want checkpoint like every bubble?
I'm like, where's the digit? Where's the countdown? Why? They had to go back to get me. Yeah. They were like, yo, he's about 3 clicks out. I think 3 heat lamps out. Let me go get him. And I'm like, all right. So they got me. So I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, citizen, yeah, but don't trigger. Yeah, you know me.
I thought that was an interesting way to start. I will give it that. Because normally the traversal mechanics have been in the middle or anything like that. You jump in and you're like, right now. And apparently that's also how you get the ghost with the sparrows. Is that?
Yeah.
Or no, the sparrows get like a special thing if you do that.
There's a sheriff thing. So look. Full disclosure, it's not a bad encounter. I was terrible at it, so I'm biased against it. But I think it went on just a little too long. That was just my little nitpick there. But I like the frostbite mechanic. Okay, boom. So we get into the next thing.
Scholarly warlock that can't tell directions. Okay.
You see the Titans? You see the Titans?
Whatever you gotta do.
Listen,
teach his own.
I was like, I actually enjoyed that. I was having fun trying to be like, all right. So it's like, I'm looking at the degrees. I'm like, all right, so I'm splitting these 2 rocks and I'm going right here. And then I'm like,
so you guys liked it?
Yeah. I was like, I thought it was kind of a light way to start as opposed to, I'm trying to picture Taken King, King's Fall. What's the first encounter? The totems is like
King's Fall's the totems. Which the totems you kind of breeze through too. There's also a jumping puzzle at the beginning, I think.
Yeah. I'm just it's definitely not Crota where you start with like crazy. So I was like, I enjoyed the kind of like, hey, we're driving in, we got to get there. I was like, all right, good with that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give my little assessments per segment. So pretty much, like I said, the first thing was that I said if it was about 2 freezing nodes shorter, perfect. I would have had no problem with it. But again, I digress. We go into the thing. The team finally waits for me. They go get me in the Lost Blizzard, and we start the next part of the raid. I liked it. The next part, right? Because now the IT in me is loving this.
Yeah.
Like, server room? Oh, someone's got this little operator thing.
Coolant.
Yeah. Like, this is so cool. Like the eye was like geeking for this. So then it took us a while to figure out. The team broke down a little bit. Again, the alphas had to calm down and figure things out and start labeling things. And then we started making associations and then we started to figure it out. Now, that part was cool, especially DPS. Like we had to do it light side, dark side, all that cool.
Yep.
Like that encounter, very fun.
Can we talk about that encounter for a second?
I was going to say, before you do all of yours, we'll just do one encounter at a time.
We'll do one. Oh, my fault. So, my fault. Let's do one per. My fault. So,
you guys are going to get way ahead of us there.
Yeah, my fault.
How snarky is Bungie that they were having trouble with their servers and the launch would be on light, so they're like, you fix it. And they make the first encounter of the new raid, you have to fix their servers. I thought that was pretty cheeky.
That's actually, that's legit. So what do you think, Travis, of the... Sparrow / and then security. Like if you had any
Yeah,
thoughts on Sparrow.
the Sparrow, you're right. The positioning was unusual, but I actually liked it because it felt like, all right, we're getting like, this is our warm up exercise, right? Like we're kind of just starting to play the game and early in the morning, and my team breezed through it. It was fun. We were laughing. People were crashing into things and dying, but we got through it in a couple minutes, and then on to the serious stuff. And as soon as you get to that server room, you're like, all right. Yep, this looks like it's going to take us a while. Like, yeah, look at all these symbols. Like, you got an artifact you picked up. I got one. All right, this is where we do the work. So that was really fun though. That first encounter with the security room, because I was like the guy who figured it out first. Like right at the beginning, I was like, this part is the computer. That part's the coolant. Like, look at the design methodology. And so we're gonna have to figure this out. And then I also was the seeker, and I discovered the
Scanner.
God, why do I call it Seeker? You know what's weird is I've met like 5 people that also call it Seeker. I don't understand.
Too much Harry Potter, I think. That's fine.
Too much Harry Potter. Yeah, my Quidditch days are really coming back to me. So I was the scanner, so I was the first person to figure out that I could see things that were glowing. But yeah, that encounter was cool. We were also done with that one pretty quickly. I think we spent like an hour, maybe 90 minutes on that, and we were kind of competing for world first at that point. We were like, oh, we're so far ahead. And then, we spent 6 hours on the second encounter, like just totally hit a wall with Aramis, or what's her name?
Atrax.
Eric?
Atrax. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Because I kept calling him 8-track.
I saw Pyro say that too online. He's like, Atrax is a pain in the
8-track.
But yeah, it was like that security encounter was, I mean, they always do that thing of, we're going to introduce you to mechanics. Here's the major introduction. So you've got, what's this like thing you pick up to start the encounter? Operator. What the hell do we do this? First thing we're trying to do is figure out how to open the door. Too many people are standing in the room. One goes down. I ended up getting the scanner buff, and I'm like, all right. I'm like, whoa. You guys get this. If you get the scanner buff, and then you start looking down through everything to figure out where it goes. I can't put it up in chat right now, but I made a map of everything for the group.
Oh, that is so E.
That's awesome.
That is so E.
Yeah, but I was like, I made
helpful.
Oh no, you don't know. When we got married, I put together like the Google directions.
You and Cog got married?
What? No.
You and Cog got married?
Not yet. Continue.
Okay, that's later. Right.
My wife might respectfully disagree on that one, but that's fine.
No, but
when like random
Which of you is Saint 14? Okay, go on. I'm sorry. Go on. The Titan and a Warlock. I know. We know which one. We know. All right. Anyway, go ahead.
But no, it's like I literally put together like the info sheet to send out to the guests that we have. It wasn't that many, but I was like, I went to like the Google directions and Street View, and I was showing this is what the street sign looks like. So if you're turning off the exit, I gave people, if you got lost, I am not sorry for you, because I drove you from the airport to your hotel, and then hotel to the reception. So like same thing. I was like, okay, so we're going to build a map real quick, put the map in our shared Google Doc, which actually helps, by the way. If you're going to do a raid and you have a team, go find a shared Google Doc, and people were putting directions in there and everything. Put the map in there. We got it all called out. All right, so 1, 2, and I'm sure the call outs.
Content creator. Look at this. This is like efficiency, second to no.
This is math class.
This is math, like literally, like during the. I commend you, brother. Like that is just amazing.
Like, we need call outs, and everybody's saying, well, the front or the back. I'm like, all right, everybody hang tight for like 10 minutes. I'm going to make a map, make this real simple. We had it done about 2 runs after that. Like when that map was done, call outs were good. Like same thing with you. It was like working through it for a little bit, and we were probably in there for like 2.5, so we were a little longer. But it was like as soon as we narrowed down call outs and timings. And then the last thing once we got to the fuses, then we figured out it's like, okay. And then we figured out like calling them back and forth that we had to have the scanner to see those. After scan that, then it was like DPS, okay, and then done. Like that one wasn't too bad. So I think that was a really cool way to introduce the mechanics. It wasn't crazy, but that's where you started. Contest didn't feel too bad there. Yeah, Contest was like, okay, you're like, yeah, I got to kind of be aware, but nothing in there was too painful, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it wasn't at all. I would say that's probably true about the whole raid, really, is that like most of it was mechanics. I think at the final boss, it was a DPS check, but the rest of it, I mean, survivability wasn't that much of a problem, at least with my group. But
and it definitely changes post-contest, but we'll get to that. Mm-hmm. So then we get through with that one, and I'm like, all right, we kind of got rolling. The wall everybody hit. Atrax. Now, I will say... Atrax, yeah. I like how they have the little bit of like cinematicness to the to what happens. Like you see spoiler alert, we'll get there, that guy. And then you also get to see, like, I'm sorry, we're facing a fallen Exo? Like, and then somebody in my chat mentioned, because I was like, somehow I had decent internet connection for about half of that day. And you get to see him, and they're like, that was the one that Aramis is like, hey, go take care of. And I totally forgot he was one of the guys. He was one of the 4 lieutenants. I was like, there were 4 at one point. We never saw him, and bam, here he is. Oh my God, I hate that guy so much.
Brutal.
So, Cog, I want to ask you first for you guys, because this is where you ended too.
Yeah,
and then
this broke us.
How far did you guys get? Like how far did you guys get it figured out? And what was like the big issue for you guys?
I think, like I said, definitely broke us. First off, shout out to the elevator mechanic, though. I just thought that was cool.
Dude,
Yes. Honestly, I was on the space team, and I had no problem being on that encounter for
every time.
The sensation of going to it and going up, like, I love that.
I would say those things are glitchy
with that
as
music.
hell.
Yeah, I was just like,
yes. And don't emote in there. Don't you dare emote in that thing, because it'll definitely glitch. It's very glitchy.
No,
I
agree.
I was emoting in real life as I danced to the music of like going up in space. Yeah, I was just loving it.
But I will say there were many times I walked in those little space pods and I was just like, hold it. And you're like, no door animation comes down. You're like, please don't kill me. Come on. Okay, then it closes a second. It glitched so many times for me because, space team, you had enough. But anyway, back to where you were.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to shout that.
So you guys both ended the night there?
Yeah. I was there for 12 hours.
That is brutal, man. I had a similar situation with the Last Wish. Like that one, that's one of the only raids I didn't finish on the first day. I just hit a wall with Vault. Like I just could not figure that thing out.
That's crazy. Nobody got that one hardly, so that's fair.
Yeah, that was a hard one. I mean, for me, I did have a hard stop, so I want to give myself. So I had to like rotate another person in the clan in for my spot because after like the 6-hour mark, I was like, look, guys. I take care of some business, you know what I'm saying? But I will be back later.
Did your group finish it by the end, or
they got to the end? They did. They got to the end, but they did not. From my understanding, they did not finish. Sinister, if you're in there, let me know if you guys got. I thought you guys didn't, but they may have. But anyway, long story short, so yeah, that broke us. So I wanted to, one thing I realized immediately was I was playing with shout out to Forte, who we've had on Last Word before. We were doing right side non-space team. And rotating, and one guy was doing shout to Scream. I believe he was the scanner. He was trying to point out where things were at. Once we started to figure out that mechanic. But it was just like the rushing over and doing things in a timely sequence was what was hurting us. We weren't converging together quick enough. We weren't identifying fast enough. And then for me, I was having a little bit of survivability issues. So what I was doing was I looked at Forte and I'm like, yo, he's up in the mix. Like, I'm like, risk runner. And I'm seeing this arc thing. I'm like, everything's falling in here. Risk runner. So I shout out to him. I switched my build and that kind of helped me. But yeah, that definitely broke us. But once, like I said, I came back to it and we started to play it. Once you get the mechanics down, it's really cool. It's really cool. Yeah. It's really fun. I love the sensation of going up and then going into the air like, all right, clean me off. All right, cool. Then I come back down and it's all these things going on. It's a very it's very mechanical. It's not the most complex, but there's a lot of things going on. Yep. And the thing we learned about it is adaptability. Something will go wrong most of the time. Always. So someone's got to be able to pick up that role on the fly, adapt. You know what I'm saying? And then to keep it going kind of thing. But that was my assessment. I thought the encounter could have easily been a later encounter as opposed to the third encounter. Still like it, but definitely, challenging and just to figure out where he is and then doing the DPS and stuff like that. But Travis, what was your thoughts on that whole encounter?
Yeah, so we spent 6 hours there. We did finish it on the day one, so I was lucky because we got like a good breadth of like spending a little bit of time on everything, but we spent the vast majority of our time on Atrax encounter because she was just brutal. And then the last chunk was the final boss fight. And both of them were kind of for the same reason. Like us figuring out the mechanics was never that hard. We were doing a pretty good job. Like, all right, be prepared to fail a lot at the beginning and just kind of figure this all out because we were doing it totally blind. It sounds like you guys were too, based on your issues.
What the hell?
Yeah. So because if you're not doing it blind, that sort of makes it a whole different fight. But yeah, we didn't look anything up until we were done. But yeah, for us figuring out the mechanics took about 2 hours because every once in a while the farther you get, the more you figure out, okay, like this and this thing on top of it. And it's also just really disorienting. Like Atrax she is everywhere. And you've never had a boss fight where you always had to be near the boss. Like you're constantly just getting attacked by the boss. And it's just like, this is brutal.
Can I call out those tracking shots real quick? Because oh my god,
dude. What is
like
around a corner?
Wrapping around a building, like those are a whole different level of tracking. And I was like, those are the ones I was just like, I can handle ads all day. Mm-hmm. But those shots, you're like, I'm good. Nope. Holy crap, I'm about to die. Yeah. And those are the moments where, like, those were just almost too extreme. I'm like, they're just little floating projectiles that just go anywhere.
Oh, they were lashing me too. Oh, they were.
Yeah. But when you're sub 20 power on the enemy, I mean, even the small things can mess you up. So yeah, actually, now that you mention it, I guess we did have a lot of people dying. But honestly, the main thing for us was we kept waiting for there to be a damage phase, and then we figured out that the damage phase is actually the really small tiny sections of time. And every time one of those comes up, you've got other people on the team who are busy doing other stuff. So it's hard to find time to do the damage. And so for us, after we figured out most of the mechanics within 2 hours, it was like, okay, how do we make the flow work and also have time to do enough DPS? And that took a while for us to get. And then once we got that, then it was like, all right, now we're getting to the final damage wave and we have no idea what's going on. That took us a while. I think we got to the final boss or the final damage check like 10 times before we cleared it, because every time we were like, all right, maybe they all teleport up here. Maybe some. Yep. I think we had a glitch too, which even confused us even more, because one of the times they didn't all go up to the space room. Some of them stayed downstairs. And so we were like, maybe it's random. Maybe we have to adjust the elevators to, we had all these theories that weren't true. So yeah, it took us a while, but once we cleared it, it was like, I will say this about that encounter. Unlike other encounters I've played in Destiny, I never felt like I just wanted to stop playing. I definitely felt that in The Last Wish during that first encounter where you're standing on the plates and it's just sort of like, God, this is boring and I'm dying to these guys that are so much stronger than me. And then also Vault, I didn't find particularly fun when I was stuck on that for a long time. Both this encounter and the final boss encounter we were stuck on for a while, and I was having fun genuinely the whole time. So I will say that about this encounter is that like I actually enjoyed playing it the vast majority of the time, even when we were doing it ad nauseum.
Yeah, I always felt like there was like I was getting a little better, a little more comfortable figuring out like times. Now I will say the servitor in the space room in the back can go to hell.
Yes.
Oh my God, that servitor in the back. Like,
how it hides behind the. Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah. Or back there, and then like the other guy might be blocking him because he's up there, and I'm just like, what are you doing to me right now? Like this is such a mess. So that guy pissed me off a lot. Sorry, I was gonna say, Travis, if you want to finish your part, and then I'll go into mine.
No, I'm good. Let's go to the fourth encounter. I liked this encounter and the whole. I totally understand why people got stuck there. And we almost thought like, is this just going to be as far as we get? But we were making progress every time. And once we beat that, we felt like, okay, we're going to beat this raid today.
So
we got past that.
I wanted to ask you when you did it, because we got to the point where we would do like couple full damage cycles, and we were kind of narrow in on the DPS, and we got close a couple times to the final burn. But for the balls, like you'd kill one of the clones or whatever these things were.
Right.
The little ball would be, pick up, somebody's up there. How many did you guys like send out the airlock at a time when you did it on contest night?
We did one at a time as a rule, but if it worked out where two people were around at the same time, we would try to do two. But typically it was like you cleanse the first person right away, and then you cleanse the second and the third person at the same time, because the second person's on his way up to the spaceship, and it sort of times out to be around the same. And then the fourth person is just a separate instance. And then when you complete the damage phase, they reset. So we were doing 1, 2, and 1 usually, but sometimes it was just 1, 1, 1, 1, and they're resetting. But yeah, for us, it was like, we did what we found out, and what really helped us beat it was once we got all the mechanics and figured out kind of the best practices for survivability figured out, it was like, all right, no one activate a damage phase. Let her get close to wiping the team until the whole group, everyone who's on that floor is right in front of the boss and ready to do DPS. And then break her and shoot that orb, because that orb's crit spot is like super easy to hit.
Shout out to Sinister. He agrees with you in the chat, because that's literally how we did it, because he said the guy reminds me of young me. Yeah, because the thing is, like, we were like, look, we're not doing enough DPS. We gotta stick to Sinister. Everyone, all 6, get up top and stay on. And whatever we all go as a group and we rough that thing. And we got all our frustration out at the end. But yeah, I definitely get it. The only point I want to make, even before we move on, though, is that this is just a problem I had. I don't know if you guys experienced it. Is that, again, I was mostly downstairs team, not space team up top. So that room design was confusing me a little bit, because there's like the glass part outside, then there's the side, then there's like these different ways to go in and out. And like sometimes there was moments where like whoever's scanning is telling me, like, he was the scanner, Scream was the scanner. And he's like, bottom left, bottom right. Sometimes I just had to get used to the actual design of the room. There's something about that room is just ergonomically weird to me. I just mentally had to get my mind not to panic, to locate where things are and get there in a timely fashion. But I don't know if you guys have, but I did have a little issue to begin.
So it sounds like E and I were both on the space team, but the feedback that we kept hearing from the downstairs team is that the encounter was kind of boring. Like, they had a lot of dead time where there wasn't a lot for them to do, which I was very surprised about. I was like, we're like in the space room, we're constantly, and I think it's because upstairs is where you've got the cleansing going on. So there's just a lot more to handle, but they were sort of like, we killed all of our ads or servitors are dead. Like, we're just kind of waiting. I was just like, all right, man. Like, that sounds nice. It's chaos up here.
Nice. So, like, for what we did, and this is why I was like, we got to the point for ours. We were starting with the airlock stuff, and then one of us had the idea is like, you can technically get all 4 people with orbs, and we had 4 people up. 4 people with orbs, and I'd cleanse them all at the same time.
Wow.
So, and the main reason is as you were saying, you had the downtime. When you did 4 together, we would still clear all 4, and then we still waited for that second phase to start. So there was so much time. Like, we'd bring one up, and then I'm sitting there. I'm operator the entire time in this thing. I was operator for 12 hours, and I know it really well now. Nice. But I was like, I was up there, operator. I'm like, cleansing. All right. And some guy was like, dude, you're on the cleanse. I'm like, this is all I do. I'm shooting a little like purple dot off your head. I can do it from anywhere. So I was like, I got you. So like, we got to the point where we'd like bring one up. So like, first would come up. No, we picked it up first. Second would come up. So I'm sitting there rotating both of them. While that's happening, the third one gets cleared. The guy who had been doing the scanner drops it down, picks it up. So we got 3, and the last one comes up. But when you were saying Cognito, the other girl, Carly, she actually is one of the ones who runs Where Is Zer. I got to run with her. She's just literally hanging out in the bottom, just like, sup, guy? Like, just waiting for, because the 2 had all come up. So she's down there just by herself.
Just chilling,
just
waiting,
like hanging out, waiting. And it's just like, and we're up there. Okay, guys, run in. Let me cleanse you one more time. Everybody run in, get out, go back, reset your positions and stuff like that. But I got the feeling that bottom section could have some downtime. Because the upstairs is chaos when you're doing all that type of stuff.
I knew it was downtime when Scream actually showed us a hiding spot where nothing can hit you before we get to the scanning. Oh, there's a complete hiding spot. So, in the center, all right. So downstairs room where the elevators are, right? The center. In the back right-hand side, there's almost like these little barrels, like a little cubby in the right-hand corner. You can chill right there and nothing will hit you. And we just wait for Scream to go get the scanner. And then we like, okay, Scream, let's go. And then we go identify who the guy is. And then we go do our little DPS or whatever. But yeah, there's definitely, they found an amazing, so there's there's a hiding spot upstairs. Yeah, I didn't know about it. There's a prime hiding spot downstairs. But fun encounter.
Overall, cool encounter. Got to know it well. And I wish I would have been able to try more though. But that was the endurance test, I think, for everybody. Because you said it took it took trying to make sure you were getting ammo. So I was doing all this stuff. I will say, charged with light, protected by the void.
Talk about it.
Oh, charged with the light mods. Because we started with Warmind Cell, because one of the guys was going to run Warmind Cell, but we noticed we were all so separated, you never had much of a chance, and it wasn't really built that way. So then I flipped. I was like, all right, charged with light all the way. Dude, I had like charged with light mods because I had like stacks on stacks and everything. I was running like 2 or 4 every time. So when it dropped, dude, I was like, I didn't die much. I mean, I had flood moments where I was like kind of a BS tracking grouping, but more often than not, I was like, I can handle this. But it was just like, it was the DPS output was just That was the part that hurt. So
we had Xeno. Everybody equipped Xeno, and that was doing it because you can shoot it from far away.
That's what we ended up going with too. Was Xeno? Like everybody, we tried swords for a little bit.
We did swords. I should have.
But Xeno was
the problem with swords is when you kill the boss, a person gets the infected who you don't want. So we were like, everybody just stay away, get a line of sight, and just Xeno that thing. As soon as everybody's ready.
What got us close, and we went through. We'd get 4 balls completely cleared. Do it. We got 4 balls. We went through like 2. We had like 8 cleared. We just could not last, and that's one of those. That's like the team just like feeling good, everybody holding their peace, and just like one person flubs here and then a random and it's just enough of those random things happen continually, and we just couldn't put the execution together. But it was just the endurance test was that one. It was I liked the encounter though. Overall, it was unique mechanics, and like when everything was like rolling and smooth, it felt really cool to do it all together.
Yeah, it feels very involved. I love that everyone kind of has that role. It's a cool thing, man. It's very cool.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, you know that point where in every raid group where the longer you're in an encounter, the more you become aware of everyone else's neuroses and like personality aspects you don't like, and everybody gets more on edge the longer you spend in an encounter. I feel like we did a really good job of containing that. Anytime somebody would say something that was a little like
off,
blamey, like you need to not die.
I checked that quick.
You know the thing I hate is people like, okay guys, we just need to stay alive. It's like, oh well, dude, if only I would have thought of that. You know, like if only I would have thought of staying alive in a video game. That would, really smart. Thanks for contributing something. Like when people say that, I have such a pet peeve. But yeah, it was like one of those things where we were doing a good job of containing it, and everybody was sort of at the beginning, we were all laughing. Even in the security room, it was like we were figuring it out, but it was we weren't really running into any serious hiccups, so people were just kind of jokey. And then the longer you stay in that Aatrox encounter, or any encounter, but in this case, the Aatrox one, the less jokey and the more kind of like everybody's like, all right, everybody 100%. Needs to be on point. Everybody needs to bring their A game, you know? You can see the veins in their head virtually. So it started to do that. And then as soon as we beat that encounter, the valve came off and you can see all the hot steam releasing, and everybody that stretch that follows it is perfect because it's like a nice jumping puzzle. There's lots of beautiful stuff. There's some combat that's sort of just like fun and not like intense combat. And then going into that next encounter, the encounter that comes after is the perfect encounter because it's challenging, but not that challenging, it's mostly fun. Like you guys didn't get there during day 1, but even with contest mode on, that encounter was not difficult. Survivability was not a problem. And so that encounter, like I said earlier, we only did it twice before we beat it. It was like that. And we had a ton of fun of doing it. Like just the whole, when the whole ship catches on fire and it's just like stuff's happening. You have to run down the hallway. And we thought we did something wrong. I think everybody thought that when you see the fire out the window, you're like, did we trigger something? Is the ship blowing up? Or are we about to get wiped? But no, it was just part of the encounter. So that was so great, man.
Shout out to Black Wings, Deep Stone Lullaby. Yeah, baby.
That was so what I was talking about earlier. That song when you're on the spacewalk outside oh my God. Like it hit so perfect. And I was just like, this is it. I was wondering where it was. I'm like, you nailed it. Just the song that plays out there when you're jumping and there's a little bit of combat and stuff, but one of those quiet, more like kind of peaceful, like melodic songs that I was just going along. I was like, so good. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, essence of space. And Travis said it best. Like it was the perfect sequence right after the Aatrox. You needed that mentally because you just came off that tough thing, but just to jump around this beautiful skybox. You're out there in space, and as a warlock, I didn't even care about the jumping puzzles. I'm like, great, let me floof my way to death.
You're just happy to be free of Aatrox.
Happy to be free of Aatrox. Yeah. I'm just, it's really cool. So then you get to that encounter where, we discover our old friend, and I'm like, oh, the big T is here.
That was interesting.
Interesting. And I'm like, okay, you know what I'm saying? So, that encounter was definitely a good one, with the bombs and stuff like that and getting that going. Yeah, not too difficult at all. And again, I thought it was sequenced perfectly after the previous encounter. So
yeah, it's like I did that post challenge and I was operator in there, so I haven't seen the other roles. So I haven't played Suppressor yet, and that's the one that I hear is a little more tricky, especially in the final. But it's like operator in there. I'm just like, I'm shooting stuff, and every so often alarm, shoot it. I'm like, is there more I need to be doing? It was like, it was really light.
That's what I felt too. I felt like I was being carried in that encounter, and then later I talked about it with the team, and they were like, "No, all the jobs are kind of easy." I was like, "All right, cool." So they made an easy encounter. I'm down with that. Yeah.
Oh, that's what Forcado said it too. The muffled sound of bullets, like when you're outside, they like totally toned everything. I was like, oh, it was so weird, but it was
reminded me of Halo. They do that in Halo too. When you fight in outer space, it's like the very like you can't hear any noise, and then for a second you're like, "Is the game broken?" And then it's really
shout out. That was the tone was the perfect switch when I saw that, and I was jumping, and we were flying fast. I was like getting ready for an anniversary dinner. I was like, I got about an hour for this. I was like, can you guys? And they're like, oh yeah. I'm like, all right. Then they did. They nailed it. So the group I was with was awesome. But yeah, when you're out there jumping and stuff, and just the scale, I think it's just this when you get to feel small in Destiny. That's one of the cool times, and you get to be like, I'm on a space station in space jumping. Like it's just one of those really, really rare moments in this game, and it's one where you're not even shooting a gun. And that's one of those things that Destiny can do that few other things can. It's a shooter RPG, and one of the best moments in that raid was the music outside and the serene space jumping puzzle. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of impressive that they can still make that part that cool.
Just seeing Europa in the distance. Dude, it was amazing. It just, who thought of that? Like, I was just like, this is next level. You know what I'm saying?
Whoever came up with the arc of starting in Europa, going to outer space, using outer space as part of the puzzle in the Atrax encounter, where like you going to space is really drilled into your brain, and then the re-entry back into Europa. Whoever thought of that, like
A+.
Good on you, man. Like that was. I think like story, I said this earlier in the show, but like the story of this raid, I think is the most easily digestible, and B, it's possibly just the coolest in terms of like the overall arc and where you end up. You feel like you accomplished something at the end of it. King's Fall is also on that same kind of level, but I think this gives it a run for its money. I'm not going to say a declarative statement yet because I've only done the raid once, and I think it takes more and stuff, you got to do a raid like 20 times before you really know where it stands in the grand scheme of things. But I think it might end up being one of the better raids in terms of the story for sure.
It's definitely up there. I even like I'm biased, so that the IT aspect, and just even hearing the recordings of like the Clovis security systems talking.
That was great.
I love that stuff. I mean, even when you go in and you see wasn't there like the darkness statue in there or whatever that thing? Yeah.
And then shout out to Blackwings, by the way, for that darkness statue. He said it moves. It literally almost like breathes. He sent me a video that it's actually sitting in the last word. I'll drop it into the folder because he actually told me about it. Shout out Blackwings, I got you. And he said it literally like, I don't know if it's just a slow animation, but it seriously does like slowly breathe and move. So I've got a video. I'll link it to you guys so you guys can see it. But he actually found it and sent it to me. And he just said it's like, and it's barely, and you can see it. It's like barely breathing, moving. And I'm like, that ties back into the whole question that you said first, Travis. It's like, why are we going to Europa? To face the darkness. Where the hell's the darkness? Well, there's a there's a statue, but again, this is another year of like, when is this ever coming? So that's just always the tease in the back of my mind. Cool, it was there.
Yeah,
but
what I was hoping they would do with the campaign is like, they tell you it's about Aramis, but secretly there's like there's a third act you don't know about where it's really not about her. And at the very first mission, that part where the darkness calls to you and they say, you've called and we've answered. It's time to give you a gift. Part of me was like, oh, they lied to us about what this DLC is about. Like Aramis is going to be a footnote. And I really wish they would have done that because that would have been such a great surprise. But no,
see, that's one of those like bigly. That's not even a word. That's one of those. That's one of those like missed moments of they sell a campaign on the Aramis cinematics, and then you have the darkness come in and creep in right when the season ends, and then it goes Clovis, and you're like, I don't mind some switch, but it's like you sell me something, you give me another. It's always a little weird, and I kind of wish they would. Yeah. I wonder when they're finally going to deliver what they sell.
I think the issue we got to keep in mind, man. Live service game. To me, it's drip, 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 drip. And we got to put ourselves.
To be honest, I don't mind being tricked into buying something that it's actually not that. That kind of is what happened with Forsaken. Forsaken was supposed to be a revenge story of Cade 6, but it was actually just about the Dreaming City. And my memory of Forsaken was that like Cade 6 and Uldren Sov is like a footnote, and
Yep.
the vast majority of it is cool ass Dreaming City Taken stuff that I spent the vast majority of my time doing. For me, I think it's the expectation that like now that we've had that, we're like, oh, they're gonna have secrets up their sleeve, and then when they don't, it's like, no,
I agree.
right?
I agree.
And really, the closest they got with this one is the Clovis Bray stuff that we didn't know about, which is cool, but it's kind of a small amount of content. It is a drip, as you said, Cog. And then the raid, which we knew the raid was going to be great, so it's kind of a known quantity, right? Like it wasn't a surprise, really. That I mean, the story elements were a surprise, but yeah. But anyway, then it brings us to the final encounter and re-entry.
Crashes down. You can't even move that fast for a minute, and then you like kind of shake it off. And then I'm just gonna let you, Travis, talk about it because you actually got to experience it contest mode, and I got it. I got it. I got a bonus mode, so I got leveled up.
Yeah, what's funny about the that encounter for us is the first time we completed it, we got a glitch. When we ran down the hallway and got to the end, the door was closed to the safe room, and Tanix was standing in front of it just shooting at us, and he wouldn't go away. And so we got to the door, and we were like trying to open the door, and we're like, oh, there must be a second puzzle we don't know about for this part because it was the first time we got there. And Tanix was just standing there right in front of the door. We're like underneath him, like, is there a button somewhere? We gotta, trying to figure out what's going on. And then eventually the screen just went white and we died. So the second time we completed it, it was our third run, and we got to the end of the hallway, and Tanix wasn't there, and the door was open, and we were like, okay, I guess we got it right this time.
We did the puzzle right. We did the puzzle right.
So yeah,
that's so funny.
But then we looked it up afterward, and we were like, wow, that was just a glitch. Okay, cool, good to know. But yeah, so that night, I think we got to the final encounter at like the 12-hour mark. It was like 10 p.m. right? Was when we got there, and then I think it took us like another 90 minutes to beat it, so it was like 13 hours total.
Nice.
And that part, it was so much fun from the point we beat Atrax all the way to clearing that, because we didn't have trouble with that encounter, that we were just ready. We're like, we're going to beat this tonight. Like, we've got half of the day left. Everyone who was sort of like on the fence, like, oh, I might have to go later in the night, was like, no, we're staying. This is it. We're at the final encounter. Like, we're going to the end. And then, obviously seeing the giant shank return and all that silliness, we were just like, all right, let's figure this thing out. And then something I really liked is by the time you get to that fourth encounter, where you're doing the ship is on fire and crashing, you've kind of learned all the mechanics you need to know for the boss fight, and then they remix it for the final encounter. And I thought they've always done that in Destiny raids. They've always kind of shown you the mechanics and then introduced it. But this one I liked especially because I thought that the way that they taught you it kind of one at a time was really spot on. And then the way that they kind of alter slightly the person's role in later encounters was really cool. And it was also more than one mechanic. In the past, it's been like, all right, here's the one new mechanic we're going to hang all of our hopes on, and you're just going to have to do that for every puzzle. It wasn't that. It wasn't, hey, stand on a plate for 40 minutes, which that's like Vault of Glass is like all standing on plates, right? It's like that's the whole encounter. So I like that it was something new, and it was really cool. And so the final encounter, we spent the first like 40 minutes. It was maybe less than that, like 30 minutes, like figuring out the mechanics, and because it was sort of what we had been doing before we figured it out. And then the next hour after that was literally dedicated to trying to do DPS. Like that thing in contest mode was a straight up DPS check. And we were on the wrong side of it. We were like, we were just, dude, it was so hard for a while. We got to that final damage phase a ton of times before we completed it, like maybe 20 times. Wow. And it was just because we could get him to the damage phase reliably, but then that final wave, we would have nothing, no power bricks. All of us are out of our special ammo, and we were using Izzy. So you're burning through it really quickly when you use Izzy. And then it was just primaries, and you cannot do that final damage phase with primaries, at least not in contest mode. There's just no way. And we kind of beat our head against the wall for a while, and then somebody made the suggestion, let's just use double specials and use the finisher mod to just farm a ton of special bricks at the beginning and then use it for the rest of the encounter. And that just worked like a charm. Like we
Nice.
there were special bricks everywhere. It was like the start of the encounter, everybody's quota. You have to get at least 5 finishers and just chip away at your super.
Wow.
Yeah, and then you spend the second half of the first phase just like getting your super back so that you can put down the bubble and the well and all that stuff. But yeah, we figured that out, the mechanics out pretty quickly, and then just spent the rest of the time working on DPS. And when we finished it, the screen was fully white.
Oh.
In the final wipe, DPS phase, fully white. We couldn't see anything. I was shooting my shotgun blindly up in the air because I was out of sniper ammo and grenade launcher ammo, and I was just. And we thought we all died because I died on screen from the wipe effect. Other people died on screen because of the wipe effect. The screen was completely white. It turned out it was not the wipe effect that killed us. It was the boss's body damages you after he dies.
Nice.
And if you walk through the boss's body, you take damage. And so what had happened was the screen was white from the final, wipe effect that he was doing. And his body dropped on all of us because we had no ammo left and we were shooting underneath him. And that killed almost all of us. And the one guy who had sniper ammo and was somewhere else survived. And that caused it to be a kill for us.
Oh my God.
That was how we did it.
It was
crazy. So close to being a rage quit. Like
that's crazy.
Yeah, we like barely got it. So yeah, it was a great story.
Can't top that, brother. That was an amazing story.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
I was kind of disappointed that I thought, wasn't it true that the people who completed Last Wish on day 1, they all got 1,000 voices?
Yeah,
or was
they stopped that
at least the world first. Yeah, something like that.
That was the crown yoink when somebody thought they were first. And they were actually second because they got the exotic as well, but they weren't first. I think that happened to somebody in Crown. I think it was Dado. He's been screwed a couple times.
Yeah, so I was kind of disappointed we didn't get the exotic drop. I got the machine gun. But,
I know.
Yeah, I'm excited to play that raid again. And that was the thing that this is the highest compliment I can pay really any piece of content in Destiny or in any other game, which is that I spent 13 hours doing it. My first thought was, wow, that was a lot of fun. I can't wait to do it again.
Yes.
That's crazy. Like
that's
even like King's Fall, I was not like that. King's Fall, I was like, wow, that was really hard. I'm so glad we beat it. I'm gonna go sleep and maybe not play Destiny for a day. Like I didn't want to play Destiny after I beat King's Fall.
Hard mode broke me. I was like, I don't want to see that again.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I hope I don't have to do that again. Like when I beat King's Fall, and I don't want to have to do that again.
That I've done it and I'm good.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So, but this one was the exact opposite. I beat it and I looked over, at the people in my house who had been watching me do it. And I was like, that was fun. Like, I can't wait to do that next week and see what it's like when it's way easier. I can't wait to just like destroy Aatrax and be like in your face. So
I went through on Tuesday with the group that were they were on half damage.
Teddy's in the chat. Episode 5, McClunky Strikes Back.
There you go, baby. That's right.
Shout out to Teddy.
I don't know if we can have Teddy and Travis on at the same time, but I think Cognito would just have to Cognito and I'll just have to sit back.
While we talk about Star Wars.
Yeah, while you guys just go at it. But yeah, that'll be hilarious.
Please let me talk about Star Wars with Teddy. We can go on and on forever.
Did you watch the episode today?
Of course I watched. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
dude, if I haven't watched the episode by 12:35 a.m., people are tweeting spoilers at me. I have to watch it immediately.
It's 2 o'clock in the morning for me. That one's a little later.
Right. Yeah. I stay up till midnight. So
if it was midnight, I could probably manage. But yeah, it was like I woke up this morning and watched it after breakfast. But no, that was, when we were in Aatrax on Tuesday, his health was at like half health bar. I'm like, what the hell is happening right now? I mean, I knew my gnawing hunger was like mowing down the like orange bar shanks, which I hated during the middle of it, but I was mowing those down pretty quick, and was like, the servitors are going down kind of fast. I was like, oh yeah, and then I looked at damage on the health bar because I'm just playing the operator, and I was still just like opening doors and stuff, and I'm like, what is going on with this health bar? And they're like, oh yeah, he's just getting destroyed right now. I was like,
oh yeah.
Okay, I see how this is going to go now. I felt dumb after like 12 hours in that room, but yeah, no, you're going to love it. You're going to have a blast.
Oh yeah. Yeah, man, like I said, I really, really enjoyed it. Last encounter again, Travis nailed it. Culmination of what we had learned, mechanic wise, and then, just a matter of figuring out the bomb strat and stuff, how we're going to do. And yeah, man, it was really cool. The only thing I was struggling loadout. I was like, okay, what should I be using in here? Because I felt we were our team wasn't ad clearing effectively. And I felt like, I really needed to help out there. So to get those, especially those purple captains just running loose, acting up. You know what I'm saying? So I was just helping out on that. And then my role was kind of like, whoever, I'm like the sidekick to whoever's depositing. We call out the numbers, okay, 1 in 5 or whatever bomb location we're doing. And my thing is like, it's like, like a relay race. Like, okay, yo, how would you, all right, pass it off. Okay, I got it. All right, boom, I'm dunking it. So I was like the relay partner. All right, where you go? You go in there? Okay, cool. So I was doing that for a while. And then for the DPS, where it really, really switched good for me, Anarchy, about 2 or 3 Anarchy shots. And then I had a first in, last out.
Yeah, slug shotties.
Slug shot with Vorpal and auto loading. So what I do is on Anarchy, bang, 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 empty the clip. Anarchy again, bang, 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 bang. And it was a good flow. And I was like, okay, now I'm doing some serious DPS to him. And then we had set up the bubbles and stuff like that. But once you got the flow, after the first round, it was enjoyable. Yeah. I was really getting into it. I was like, all right, so operator, all right, I'm detained. Shoot, where's the operator? God damn it. You're yelling at the operator. Then again, I'm always cognizant of where everyone's depositing bombs. And then I actually really enjoyed the boss guy. I have fun with it. And it was just cool.
Yeah.
Like, how cool was it aesthetically? A crash site.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful. All the flames in the background and just like some of the boss's own effects, like even if they ended up being like a nothing burger. Yeah. The effect of creating like a tornado of wreckage around you is dope. And when we first saw it, we were like, all right, we're going to be in this encounter for hours. Like that looks scary. Like how do you even do damage to that? And then we figured it out through experimentation. But initially it was just like somebody got hit by that tornado scrap metal and they were just like, done. All right, well, I'm going to log off. Like, this is terrible. It's just
absolutely.
It was a lot of fun, man.
A lot of fun, man. So, yeah, really enjoyed that aspect. And last point I'll say is just the aesthetic of the crash space station in pieces where the terminals are and the things are. It's just cool. It really felt like, we blew up and this stuff fell down here and this is powers looking bits and pieces, jigsaw-y.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it.
We kind of spoke at the top of the show about how like there were a lot of things we estimated last time I was on the show about that we were disappointed in, like the Cosmodrome being used better and there being maybe a second secret location and them withholding some stuff we didn't know about, which ended up not being true. Like, one of the things we did get that you and ICOG were really like crossing our fingers for was the raid affecting the world in a significant way. That happened. Like
it happened.
You got the stuff coming down. There were new quests with Stranger and with Varix. There was some new stuff to do with like the Lament quest, and I ended up waking up the next morning because as soon as I was done with the raid, I was like, peace, I'm going to bed. But when I woke up the next morning and I saw like all the stuff to do on Europa, I was like, well, I guess I'm not ready to write my review yet. Like I'm not finished. I have another day in me, and I ended up doing it all that Sunday and then writing my review. But that was such a pleasant surprise, and it made me like the raid even more. Like the raid is, I say it in my review, like the raid is the crown jewel of this expansion. That has mostly been true of every Destiny expansion so far, but like in this case, it really is. Like if you haven't played the raid, you are missing out much. And I would recommend anybody who plays Destiny or is playing it through Game Pass for the first time or whatever, you should try it, even if you're not normally into raids, because this one is really special.
Really,
and you'll feel more connected to the world too, because it changed things in the world.
Yeah, absolutely nailed it. And like my final point was just that, it was, coming into the expansion, me and you know the routine. It's power grind. Shout out to Teddy using the friend emojis. I'm gonna use his joint. Power per hour. You know what I'm saying? You're in these grinds. You're doing these things, and you're trying to be efficient, and you get there. Then you get there, and contest mode. It's gonna beat you up for a bit. Whatever. So when I got to the raid part and we beat it, and it's like, okay, I'm thinking now, exhale. Okay, I can slow down on Destiny a little bit now because I've been in that. And the game was like, oh, no. We have things for you. We have things have changed. And it was cool to be like, okay, wow. Like it was really, really, refreshing. And then obviously I got the Lament and then, we talk about that. But yeah, I like that. I like when things open up. Now I will say Dreaming Cities was probably better post
Oh, for sure.
effect.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If we just go up, if we nitpicking greatness, right? We're nitpicking
Yeah.
greatness at these points, right? So that's what I was saying, because it was like a curse and there's all this stuff, but it was cool to see the debris coming down. It was cool to see how these things affected and more Clover stuff. But I give it to you, man. Your thoughts, your final thoughts on it, that encounter and just after and stuff. How do you guys do with your team?
Yeah, I was like, on the team I went through, he was in chat earlier. Living Proof was just like running the raid butter smooth when I went the second time through. And that encounter, they're like, all right, so base 1-2, white 1-2, orange 1-2, and we're calling them out, running them, hitting everything, and then you crash. But it was like, I knew as I was going through, and like chat was telling me, he's like, hey, there's stuff. I'm like kind of glancing at Twitter to see if there's like, Tassie's like, hey, there's a new sword, there's a new this. I'm like, oh my God, there's so much stuff, and I'm not even done. So it's like, part of me is as like content creator, I'm like, I need to do the sword, but I was like, try to do that the next day. And then, hey, there's this other thing. You got to grind out this thing for the Cloud Strike as well. That one's kind of in a weird place, but it was like that. It appeared once you unlocked more of Varric's things. There's
People are saying that is super beast in the final encounter with Tanix.
Yeah.
People are saying Cloud Strike is beast. Because shout out to Def, who actually got Iron Tomorrow. He was using it. When he's looking at his DPS numbers, good Lord. It's good.
Nice.
It's good to you.
Yeah. But I think this is kind of like the almost perfect baby of Taken King and Forsaken.
Yes.
The way they have the story build, you have now the Aramis story was kind of there, but Elsie's kind of going alongside it. So you've got her connection to like Clovis Bray and that piece going in. Then you have the raid come in, and then we have the Clovis Bray stuff afterwards, and then you've got the changes to the world. And it's like not perfect. It's like it could have been. Some stuff could have been done better. Dreaming City was grander. We got a dungeon when it unlocked. I mean, there were bigger things, slightly bigger things that happened. But the fact that it was like a story that lead in, the narrative arc made sense as you literally went up and then down and crashed. And then the continuation of what happened afterwards. I think that blend is kind of like almost chef's kiss, but not quite, because it unlocked more things. The world continued to change. You had the story connection and the lore that you always love, Cognito, because that's like, you're like, I want story to lore, period. You make that happen with the raid, like there's going to be at least one thumb up on that screen. So the blending of both of those, and then the amount of stuff that unlocked, I was like, tons. Exotic, quest, exo challenges, Varric stuff. I'm like, dear God, like how much else do I have to do? Like,
I thought I was going to have a break.
Yeah, I was like, and no, and like for me, the only thing now that I have to wonder is like they mentioned Prophecy is going to come back in a future season. I'm kind of like, how? And then it's basically at this point now, as you kind of get towards the tapering end, as you said, I've kind of seen at this point, Season of the Hunt, Lure's all done, all that. Like I'm kind of good on a lot of things. Now is the point when you think about, well, what else am I going to do? And you go look, hey, what pinnacles are out there? There's a decent amount of pinnacles that you upgrade with Hunt and Exo challenges and things. But then you look at the old content and it is so neglected. Now, this is a whole debacle. It'll be like, we all want to play new content. Right? Or we all want to play like new stuff and be like,
talk about it.
And it's that piece. And it's like the dungeons, both are useless. The old raids don't like. I mean, they're going to give you stuff that's there, but it's like you can buy Forsaken, you could buy Shadowkeep. Almost everything in there is outdated, not helpful.
Why is it even dropping sunset stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like the part that bugs me the most, and what would be so easy, hey, and whenever they bring Prophecy back, maybe they'll do this, but for the dungeon, just one weekly rotator on the dungeon to be a pinnacle. Give people a reason to go run Shattered Throne, because Ziva Wrath, the Dreaming City, and all that has to tie into that. If they don't resolve the Dreaming City in that loop, like that's going to kill me if they don't. But it's like, why would you go run Pit of Heresy? It looks amazing. It's cool. People should experience that. Besides Xenophage, you have no reason to go. Go and just do that for a pinnacle rotation. That's like such an easy add. And the same thing now, you have 3 raids. Go make, those as like
raid
a rotation
playlist.
Raid
like that's something we've been asking for on Fireteam Chat like every episode for a year. It's like, hey, why can't you use your raids more and that sort of stuff? You have all this content and you don't want to use it.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing at this point. As you're getting to, I got to grind out Cloud Strike. I got to do some other things. Is seeing the things that I'm not saying are like simple to program, but in my mind, I'm like, that can't be that difficult to be like, flip the pinnacle switch on for a dungeon and change it up every week. And you're like, that would just give a little more life to stuff that is also cool experiences. As you have a lot of new people, Game Pass is a prime example of a butt ton of free new people. Go give that stuff to people who want to experience it, and give a reason for people to pay for those expansions. Because right now, there's not a lot.
Yeah, last point I'll say, the only positive thing that I felt that they did with that last minute update was the world loot pool update. And they kind of snuck in some stuff that I thought was cool.
Oh, like in the past week?
Vendors. Yeah, right? Was it past week? When was it?
It was recent. Was it Tuesday where they got the season 10 and the season 10 and 11 weapons in there and weighted them, stuff like that?
Yeah, I thought that was
sometime after launch, after the raid. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I thought that was a nice infusion. But, at the end of the day, it's not fun to do, Shadowkeep stuff or Dreaming City stuff or whatever it is. And then you're seeing sunset icons on your weapons. And that loot pool should be updated in some way. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just useless. What am I really doing with that? So that part is definitely a misstep. And like, Travis was saying, as far as the barrenness of the other continued gameplay loops, like I said, the less strikes, that's when, Crucible being Crucible.
Well, and now, zero maps,
elephant in the room, trials. Like, it's just, we haven't
even talked about that today.
We didn't talk about it, right? And it's just, I gotta fight the fight for the PvP community. Again, it's just, is it the right call if something's breaking the game? Yes, disable. I get that. But we've already had the issues with stasis and, already, how we feel about it and stuff like that when things are working. So it's just like the PvP community just can't catch a break. They just can't. Like they're just missing out on their end game content. And it just sucks, man. I really enjoy PvP for the times I got to play it, a little bit. I had to get used to certain things, but I did enjoy freezing, shotgun apes when they were rushing me. And the last point I'll say is that, yes, Warlocks, super busted.
They were.
They had to control us. We were busted. Like, I was like, the things I was doing to people, I was just like, oh my God, this is just too much fun.
You could hurt people through walls with the super when you're doing the staff thing.
For like
you could
half
hurt people
an hour,
halfway across the map through walls and stuff. I was like, how did this ship? Like, that was crazy.
The radius was bonkers.
It was insane. Yeah,
and it's like, oh, he killed me over here, and he killed me on the other side of the map spawn. I'm like, how long does this thing last?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the downward trajectory.
Later. Yeah.
Yeah, in my opinion, Crucible's always gotten the short end of the stick. Even in seasons where they focused on it, it's always felt like it was like auxiliary.
Yes.
It's always been secondary. Like, because even the season where they added trials, like that was a down season. It wasn't like a main expansion or anything like that. It was sort of like one of the things they added. And the Season of the Dawn I think that was like one of Destiny's lowest player bases ever when that got added. And trials didn't really help it. Mm-hmm. And for me, like the downward trajectory when I think they gave up on, or they started to give up on Crucible, has been all the way back to when they gave up on having vehicles in Destiny Crucible. Do you remember? I remember that Crucible used to be kind of Halo-esque in
like
the
first
alpha
light,
and beta.
the moon map and everything.
The moon map. They had these long, and the idea was like, oh, we're gonna make it like a sandbox like in Halo, where there's like vehicles you can drive, and it's sort of like a more, the sandbox is like a little bit more dynamic, right? Mm-hmm. And I think as soon as they got rid of that, I was like, okay, so this game is not going to focus on PvP, and I've been right ever since. Like they have never really put the time and effort into making PvP balanced, or And as somebody in the chat said, Destiny 2 is not a PvP game. I'm a PvP main, and I agree with that. Like hardcore, I agree with that. It's a PvP. Yeah, I play it as PvP because like, it's part of a larger ecosystem that I also enjoy. But if I didn't enjoy raids, if I didn't enjoy campaigns and strikes and some of the other stuff that was in Destiny anyway, I would not be playing this game because it's not, PvP is not the reason that you're drawn to it. It's sort of something you get pulled into, and maybe if you're like me and you're just competitive, you get a little too into it. But its sandbox alone does not, you can't have 400 guns and be a balanced PvP game. Like to me, the gold standard is Halo. I bring it up on the Fire Team chat all the time because I'm a huge Halo fan. Halo Sandbox has like 12 weapons. I mean, at the end of the day, it's got like maybe 15. You can't balance a sandbox with 300 weapons. Not with it's just not real.
And I agree with you. I almost felt when Stasis was introduced, and me and you talked about it, I almost felt like when we talked about these powers, and we were like, how is this going to work?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, it was like, I saw stuff on Twitter and people were like, oh man, I'm gonna be so mad if I'm just like standing there and somebody like memes on me. I'm like, that's exactly what's going to happen. We called that before this. Like, you are frozen in place. Like, you're not frozen and dead. Now, granted, the whole breaking out, hurting you more, didn't see that one coming because that's special. Right. But this is like, and you keep hearing it, and it's like more and more. You see a lot of people saying Crucible needs to, because now you're getting the point to the detriment of, say, the Warlock melee. Your Warlock stasis melee is now trash, right?
Oh,
range doesn't feel good. Yeah,
the
and this is again them
now.
balancing PvP to the detriment of PvE, which is the big, I don't want to say pinnacle of the game, but it is like the main pillar. Crucible's over here, Gambit's like the redheaded stepchild in the corner, but they still seem to want to like emphasize Crucible a lot, but then you ruin what like makes Destiny by balancing around that. Like one of the patch notes was almost all Crucible. There were like two things that were PvE, and I'm like, all right, this is very Crucible related. And then they do the patch notes again, and it's like they at some point need to like pull these two apart some way, somehow. If you think, hey, the range of the Warlock melee and PvE should be about 25, 30 meters, sure, why not? But in PvP, constrict that stuff down, and they need to find some way to divide that stuff. Now, they always want you to be like, whatever you play feels the same everywhere, but at some point, it's getting to the point where it's not gonna keep like, what are poison powers gonna do? I say joking, but I was like, whatever green element comes in with Witch Queen, which sure seems to follow along with Thorn and Necrotic Grip, so poison does seem to be a theme here.
Shout out to that combo.
That'll be the second. That'll be the second darkness subclass for sure.
Yeah,
so I agree.
Whatever toxic green, whatever it is, like how is that going to be like? Now you're having damage over time for forever, probably that you do on all of your types of stuff. You put that dot on them. You have 3 very old subclasses. You want the dot to be powerful in PvE because, damage over time is kind of a slow thing, which is usually meant to combine with other stuff in RPGs. And then you're sitting there like, well, how's that going to balance with PvE and PvP? Those two don't go together. And at some point, I don't know how they're going to be able to balance this game that needs to be separated. I feel like more and more this stasis, and then potentially if it's anything like damage over time stuff and making people like a weakness thing, you make people take more damage. If all those things feel RPG related, but like Crucible's going to nerf them all to make them feel not that strong. I feel just a hunch.
Some valid concerns. I can't say you're not on anything. Like this has been the drum we've been beating for 6 years. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, they're in a tough, whatever this current engine or process is for balance, obviously they've thought about it. Obviously they are sticking to their guns, that they're keeping this separate, and I don't technically know the reason why, you know what I'm saying? It's gotta be something that internally from an engine standpoint or something where they are saying, hey, this thing has to be accepted. But you're on point because like you said, as a Warlock main, when I was doing my little melee, I was running double Almankara, double melees. The range was amazing. I was hitting people. Now I'm like, first of all, it has this weird buffer when people are too close that the melee doesn't activate. Now when I'm far, it doesn't, it misses now. So that's
welcome to the world of being a Titan with our dinosaur arms.
Oh my God.
T-Rex
and
arms.
The stasis arm, you're like, I can't punch. Then I have to like time the release right now to make sure I can't tell you how many stasis melees I have literally thrown away. I may as well have not even had the thing. I just glided over somewhere. That's all I did. I didn't hit anything. So
usually as a Titan, you have to be kissing them to melees. Your
pretty much. You may as well make
punches
out
like this. Like who punches T-Rex. Like this from the side? T-Rex. What are you doing, man? Like punch outward.
Yeah,
like, it's so
throwing
weird.
a hook instead of a cross. Come on.
Yep. Yeah. Shout out to Teddy. He said it's a core design that they set out when they made the game. Source multiple devs. At various events. It's definitely a design choice that they have stuck with. And we got to see how they're going to handle, the whole thing. But the whole point of what I'm trying to say with the PvP problem is just that, once again, this is now, what is it? Week 3? What are we now? Week 2, week 3?
Time is a crazy thing. 3. But this is third reset. Yeah.
And no trials on the horizon. We still haven't even got a chance to even get our hands on these adept weapons, to see these changes, to see the effectiveness. And then, wasn't it just going to be like a 1 season off anyway, right? And then
it was supposed to last for like 2 this season and next season. I think it was supposed to last for like 6 months. Like whatever we get now, which we still haven't got, which is going to make their every other week rotation very weird because it's already been skewed.
Yeah, you're right.
I was like, you're going to be like, okay, now you're 9 weeks in. I haven't even seen all the weapons we're in the next season. Like, you're not even potentially going to get them all.
Yeah, it puts Crucible to these delays really are because you're right. They had a specific cadence that they wanted to introduce weapon and then mod
Yep.
and lighthouse this and that. So yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, they're in a tough spot, and coupled with the fact of Beyond Light being delayed into the next season anyway.
Yeah,
So
that's
they've
right.
got cadence issues that they're going to have to deal with as to when we get this new expansion. I don't envy them. I know I'm ragging on them right now, but I don't envy them. They're in a tough spot with these stasis breaking things that are causing PvP to be canceled. Trials to be canceled kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I heard
Well,
what
that
was the stasis
happened,
when
yeah.
the Titans were invisible? Was that what somebody said? That was the
It
issue.
was people could go invisible. I think it might be an issue with the specific map, but yeah, there's yet another problem with Trials, which shows that like to them, Trials is just something. It's like a side project. Like, we'll put this on every once in a while, and then when they figure out that they didn't actually think it through, then they cancel it again. Like that's just the lot. I mean, that's like if you're a PvP main like Cog and I, you're used to this kind of treatment,
Yeah,
right?
we're
Like
used
you're
to
used
it,
to
bro.
like they'll get to it when they want to. Like they're not playing for us. They're playing for the people
Facts.
that are in it for PvE first.
So for both of
it's
you guys that are PvP mains to a point, I mean, obviously you do it all, but do you believe the adept weapons are going to be enough?
I think it'll be enough to draw people in, but on PC, it's just going to draw them into cheat. And that, I mean, I want nothing to do with that. Let's be honest. I mean, that's all it's going to be is like, oh, now I have a reason to load up the perfect aim mod again. And then, on consoles, I'm not convinced the player base is high enough in PvP to begin with to make Trials fun. I think you're going to have that same problem where it's either only the sweatiest of the sweaty playing it and people that are middling or God forbid lower tier just have no chance at all, or it won't be enough. It's not a game changer. Trials adept weapons in Destiny 1 were literally game changers. Like you had to have those in your inventory because they let you use elements on your primary weapons. Like that was night and day once you got those weapons. So I think that was a huge incentive. And this one is just, I think they have an extra mod slot, like they'll be slightly more powerful, but I'm not like, oh my God, I can't wait to get those weapons. They're going to change the whole game. You know what I mean?
And that's the question. I was just going to say, when you think about the weapons, as you said, it's like you get a mod slot, you get like +3 to a couple stats plus the masterwork. You can get some extra range, and I know like range and certain things like extra stability to laser in and not miss those shots. Those will make differences in some one-on-one encounters for sure. But then you look at the raid. Granted, it's not like perfect, and the armor is still empty in my eyes, which you can only do so much on. But
that's some cool mods, though. I got
some cool one mods. Mod, which apparently I'll have to try that one out. But really I will say, you got new perks. You got raid exclusive. Reconstruction is amazing. I got the sniper with reconstruction.
Reconstruction's amazing, yeah.
I got the sniper with reconstruction, so it can have like 10 in there. That's like my one of 2 drops. I got like a trash scout rifle.
It's almost Icebreaker.
It's Icebreaker.
Sniper. I have the same sniper rifle with reconstruction. It feels like Icebreaker a little bit.
Yep. So it's like you get something like that, and I'm like, all right, so you got that with maybe a Wellspring pulse rifle, a sniper, and then a heavy, especially if you go rocket. I'm like, all right, that's feeling kind of, we're getting some uniqueness. And then I'm like, for you guys, it's just going to be like a little extra range and a couple of, and it just, I'm not being a PvP person. That's why I was like, I feign ignorance to say, in my eyes, it doesn't feel like enough, but for a PvP person, maybe they're like, well, yeah, that 10 extra range, that one-on-one encounter, I can pull back just a little farther, but is it enough?
No, it's here's my thing with like Destiny and like the whole min-maxing argument is that at the end of the day, the most skilled player is going to win 99% of the time in Crucible. And at the end of the day, if you have the skills to beat a PvE activity, you're going to be able to do it with a second or third tier weapon just as easily as with a first. I mean, it might make a little bit of difference if you're really playing it like a world first level, but to the vast majority of people, and I consider myself like a working class Destiny player. Like I'm not like a streamer or anything like that. Like I've got like 200 Twitter followers. I'm just like some guy, right? So like for me, like, that's an exaggeration.
I love
but
that.
That's how I think of myself.
I know you got real humble super quick, but continue.
It's how I think about myself. So for me, it's like if Destiny's not a super hard game where you need the top tier things and you have to grind for god rolls to really compete, and Crucible is, it's sort of mostly your skill and having a weapon isn't going to make or break it, then what is the loot game in Crucible matter or in PvE for that matter? And the answer for PvE is those mods can be game changers. Everybody knows that in Garden of Salvation, there was that one mod for the final encounter that kind of changed the way everybody does that. What they need to do is full commit and hire a team that's just making mods and weapons that do specific things for Crucible. Why aren't there mods that do specific things in Crucible, right? Make revive faster for trials.
We used to have that.
Yeah.
We used to have
that. Like, this is a thing where it's just like...
This is what kills me, Travis.
I know.
They solve their own problems and then they go away from their solutions.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, what?
It's like with the keys thing in the Wrath of the Machines raid. Like they have figured out things in the past and then just like taken steps back. And I think a lot of those happened with D2 Vanilla, where they were they were going for a more casual audience and they slimmed down the game a lot. And I told you guys last time about how I talked to Luke Smith about that, and he was like, "Oh, we're just trying to make it less complicated." Like I get all of that, but they either need to do PvP or not, and there's the right way to do it, and they have solved some of their problems, and they've chosen that for whatever reason that's not a priority right now.
Facts.
Whatever. I mean, if that's what they want to do, more power to them. But Trials is kind of like laughable right now.
Laughable.
And like
it's laughable.
None of us were surprised when it got canceled this weekend.
Yeah,
I was kind of expecting it to be honest.
Yep, I agree.
And it's funny. It's just kind of it's silly. Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Teaser Teddy again. He's on fire in the chat. They constantly reinvent the wheel when it doesn't need to be. Yeah, I agree. And what I've heard, behind the scenes is that it's this evolution. Things need to always evolve. That's their mentality. But they're also the mentality, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So we have to stick with it. And we got a player base that if it's done right, and we've seen it in, House of Wolves, when there was no raid, right? D1, that's what kept Destiny alive. So go back to the formula. Really dedicate to it. If you're going to commit, you have to dedicate to it. And I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for this dedication. I'm still waiting for this over investment to the PvP community to cash in on what you promised. You know what I'm saying? We're still waiting. So that's, and the last
keep waiting. I think you have about as much chance as like Gambit getting, its own expansion like later on. I don't think it's ever coming. To be honest.
I have a little hope. My only point I will say is like we said with the raid weapons, it should be like that extra mod thing. Celerity should be de facto on like perks like Celerity and all that other stuff. That should be de facto on the Adept stuff. Then you can throw your little mid-maxing nonsense on top. I don't care about all that. That's fine. But these perks and these armor things, we used to have that. Res is faster. They're like things to help you get into trials, into PvP. So we'll see. I'm a little more hopeful than you. I know we've been neglected, Travis. I know we've been the redheaded stepchildren.
I have no hope at all, man. You know why I don't have any hope? Because this season they like reaffirmed that the three pillars are strikes, Crucible, and Gambit, and then gave none of them love. They got one new strike, 1.5 new strikes. They took off half the other ones. No new Crucible maps, and then they took away maps from Gambit. And it's just like stuff like that. It's like if those are their main pillars, and they already have said like all of our focus is on here, and then done nothing to take care of those. I don't have a lot of like confidence there. I know
how our parents work. Our Bungie parents, they drip feed. This is the stretch. It's like they got a cupboard full of stuff that they know they have to give us, right? But they also know we consume things fast. So their whole thing is, okay, so season of the blah, 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 which will be after season of the hunt. Then we're going to give them that. They always get back to the right place. It just takes them long. And I think a lot of it comes down to just stretching this whole nonsense out. I believe we will get it, but I understand your lack of faith with them based on their track record currently. I completely understand your position.
I mean, just like the big thing you said is like, yeah, we got 1.5 strikes. We got an old D1 strike. Some people see it as like new because they've never seen it before. So you have 2 strikes. You lost 7. I've seen Exodus crash. That thing was bugged 2 completely different ways and was taken out of the playlist for a little bit and should be better.
I think they should just kill that strike. It's terrible. No one likes it.
No. I was like, I'm not a fan. And then like that and the Corrupted is just like, the Corrupted is just too long and people don't understand it. Lord. And then in the end, you're like, oh. And I'm like, how many times do I have to like solo that strike with 2 other people running around with their chicken with the head cut off? But the fact that you get no Crucible maps and no Gambit maps, you're like, 0?
They also took away Gambit maps. Keep that in mind. Let's not forget that.
Away. I'm like, why would you do that? Like, why do those have to go? And then one of them was one related to Tangled Shore,
Yeah.
but we still have a map on Mars that doesn't exist. So there breaks your lore and story. You're like, okay, that doesn't make any sense.
And technically, how is Trials happening? Even if it
Yeah,
was going to
how
come
is
back,
Trials
how's
even
that?
a thing?
right.
You can go to the lighthouse, but why? Unless this is the
Stuff is-
longest troll ever of story, like, oh no, Trials isn't actually here because Mercury's gone and they're just stringing you along, but that'd be too funny.
That lore reason makes no sense to me
No
too,
sense.
because
They gave
they
a
also
reason?
took away they took away the festering core strike, right? And
Right.
that's in Tangled Shore, right?
No,
they
Festering Core
took-
was Io.
Is it Io?
Yeah, it was like
Wait.
south. It was low.
Yeah,
it
The
was south
one
on Io.
where you start
It's
off
Io.
on Tangled
it's
Shore
Io.
and you the one with the maggots, is that what's that one? Is that still in the game?
I think
No,
that's in
the-
the game.
The Hallowed
one-
Lair?
Okay. Never mind then. Oh,
Yeah,
no,
we
no,
get our
not the
names
other one on
confused.
the Tangled Shore. The one that's not
Prison of
Hollowed Lair.
Elders
That was
and
a,
Hallowed
That was a
Lair.
PlayStation exclusive?
That was Festering Core, but that was on Io.
That's
Are you
the
sure?
one that
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, the one
My
that you're
memory's
talking
playing
about
tricks
is
on
where
me.
Eris is commentating in the match.
On Savathun.
And you got a
About
whole bunch of
Sabathun.
a whole
Yeah.
bunch of Taken with the big Taken phalanx in the end or whatever.
Yeah, my point being that
Yeah.
like I feel like
Roadhold,
they
the chat
because
says
they also
Roadhold.
took away
That's what.
they took away the raid that was on Earth as well. Like there's just stuff where it's like,
Yeah.
all right, well, it's not all because locations went away. Like you've said you're putting stuff in the vault and you're kind of just picking and choosing. So
Yeah,
Mhm.
Broodhold,
yeah.
Broodhold is what you were thinking of on Tangled Shore. That's what it was.
Yes.
and that's still in the game, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
I think
that's
I've
still-
done
still-
it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Make sure. I knew there were 2 strikes on Tangled Shore.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Obviously, I don't play strikes when I can avoid
Oh, there's
it.
3 actually with that. So yeah, but strikes. But yeah, that's just like this is one of those weird times you're like, now we got the Empire hunts, which basically would have been the strikes of the story missions. We got the Empire hunts, which are now that, but that's like a separate thing to go play. So still when you have to go play the strike playlist, there's less variety in there. But in, you take Curse of Osiris and you're like, oh man, these story missions, these are now strikes. And you're like, now I'm kind of going, I wish some of these were strikes because they were actually
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Kind of cool.
Like when
man.
you go to fight Phalanx, which always
Mhm.
sounds dirty because I feel like I'm just saying phallic.
Alex.
Yeah, I'm probably saying it wrong because I keep thinking of it and I haven't
Last
said
word,
it.
I'm sure
last
you
word
are.
after dark.
I'm sure you are.
Last word after dark.
Yeah. Anyway, when you go down and you fight her in those raising platforms and out, if you get down there before you start it and you look up how
Yeah.
big that place is, oh, it looks so
Yeah.
cool. And you've got the mini
Yeah.
boss with the rig before.
Mm-hmm.
There's some really, really cool stuff. And it's just those playlists, as you said, they're the core mechanics of what they want us doing. And they didn't do squat to make them better. And it feels like
right. Yeah.
there's cool stuff to do, but you still have to go do the neglected stuff.
I also kind of don't like the new strike. Just a separate
agree. Oh, the
discussion.
glass
I
way?
agree.
I don't like the
it.
glass
I don't
way, dude.
like it.
It kind of reminds me of the Pyramidion, except for like more mundane somehow. Like they got rid of the lasers that kill you, which was like the worst
Yeah.
part of Pyramidion. But now there's like that part where you have to sit and kill Shanks for like 45
and sit
minutes
in the
while you're
open.
waiting for
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
the
Like
open
when
area. I'm like, what is this?
I'm so glad I got Conquer because the first time I played that strike, I'm like, you have to sit on a pad for forever being shot by everything from long range. And I'm like, this seems like everybody's going to die, or you have to have a bubble in a well because Conqueror
Mhm.
there is going to be tragic whenever that happens.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I can't even
And
imagine.
I don't like the end mechanic with this hide and go seek, and the boss can come inside and
Oh,
the thing. And I'm just
terrible.
Oh, the
I don't
little
like it.
Hydra.
And he
the
disappears
little
after
Hydra.
the checkpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah. So bad.
champions feeding in every 5 minutes, coming in. I was just like, okay, whatever. The only thing I like about that strike, again, whoever the voice actress for Elsie, the Strange, I really like that. I love her dialogue. I love the interaction with the ghost and stuff like that. And that's the only thing that kind of, it doesn't even save the strike, but I just like it lore-wise. But the actual mechanics of the end is annoying. Oh, if you're playing with some blueberries or whatever, they don't know what they're doing. Oh my God.
Oh, I've wiped and had to redo the whole boss fight, and it's just worse because it's so long. Because you're like, oh, here's an immunity phase, and then here's a little baby immunity
Mhm.
phase, and then big guy goes away, and then little guy's in one of the 2 rooms, and he's just hanging out, and you're like, what am I waiting on right now besides just stuff trying to kill me? Oh, there's little baby Hydra I gotta go kill. And
It's
then
a hurry up and wait.
And then, as if it weren't annoying enough, they make the boss the one enemy type that has shields that are immune. 70% of the angles you can't
Yep.
shoot through.
Oh.
Like it's just like
immunity
on top of
phases
that.
with immune shields, and you're like,
Yes.
are you kidding right now with this?
This is a practical joke, right, Bungie?
It is.
They're
Yeah,
really
this-
trying to pad that playtime in the campaign. They're
Yes.
like, all right, if we can make this boss fight last 45 minutes, then we can,
I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm begging for Fallen Saber right now, at least because that guy has
Yeah.
phases to him.
These phases.
You've got the
I mean,
Arc,
true.
Solar, and Void phase. You got those, and that again, there's a couple of these strikes coming back that I'm not envying for people going for Conqueror post Beyond Light. I'm so glad I got it done. But yeah, I remember Fallen Saber solo as like a hunter on a horrible modifier day. I'm like, Conqueror is going to be so much worse in there. Everything in that room. If you're in the wrong
spot,
if you lean wrong, you're going to die in that room. So
yeah, that sounds like a nightmare.
But anyway,
so we started really high as we built into the raid, and now we're really low on the things we
started off the show with sort of like and then all right, let's talk about the raid, and now we're
we smashed reality. Our roller coaster hasn't come back up.
I think so. Here's how the roller coaster comes back up. I think we have to Cog, you were the optimist in this scenario. I usually play that role in Fireteam chat because Destin and Brian are the two most pessimistic Destiny players ever. Like I've been in shows with Destin where he like opens the show with, I'm gonna be honest, I haven't been playing Destiny. I don't like it. We're just like, what? Like, all right, I guess we're going there today. And it's like, it's not in the run of show. We have like a itemized list of things to talk about, and then he'll just be like, all right, I'm not gonna talk about that. Instead, I'm gonna talk about vault space, or he'll just be angry about something. So, but yeah, I think the thing is always like, we're pushing the community in the right direction. We're giving feedback. We know Bungie has an amazing community admins that give feedback, even with Deej not there, and they're gonna hear our cries and hopefully get around to doing some of it someday. They can't do it all, obviously, because we have a million things we want them to do. But we have my good friend Paul McCartney once said, "There's hope for the future."
Good friend,
nice.
Huh? That's impressive,
guys. Nice. Hope for the future. You guys have seen that video, right?
Yeah, it's classic.
Yeah. The Destiny, where he's a hologram in the tower.
Yes.
I still can't believe that happened. You know what the ironic thing about that video existing is that when we had Lance Reddick on Fireteam Chat, he told us the reason he got involved in Destiny is because he was drawn to the fact that Paul McCartney was involved in the project.
Wow.
So without that stupid video that everyone made fun of, we wouldn't have gotten like some of the cast that has really helped Destiny be what it is. So
that's awesome.
That's crazy.
I never do that.
Look at that, guys.
Never do that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Chat is harsh right now, but that's totally fine. No, I wanted to kind
of
What are they
mad about now?
Oh, just Uke and all the fun stuff you got going on.
Oh, okay.
No, but I was just going to kind of say, like, to wrap it up, as it's been pretty lengthy and this guy's got some stuff to go get back to. I wanted to ask you guys two questions. One, just like what's been, since Beyond Light launched, what's been your highlight? And then I'm going to steal a question from DCP. If you could have a real life superpower, or if you could, level up something in real life, what would you level up?
Level up something in real life? What do you mean? Like a stat I have in real life?
Yeah, either a stat or a power, or you unlock a new skill tree or something in real life, though. Just thought it was actually kind of hilarious the way they phrased it.
I'll have to think about that one.
You can start with the highlights while I go do some sit-ups.
You have to do sit-ups.
Pay the bank.
Somebody redeem their points.
Redeem those points. Get in there.
We're here at the...
Here we go. Fitness time. Let's go.
Ebontis workout vid.
Here we go. Sit up time.
Everybody follow along with the video. And a 1, and a 2, and a 3. Keep it up. You can do it. Feel the burn.
Yes, we need some like really cool music that's going on right now.
He should have a sweatband that he puts on when he starts this. So
he needs a sweatband. The sweatband would be so key, man. That definitely gives us that level of intensity that we need to see. Look at the form. You guys cash in.
I wish his wife would just open the door right now. God, that would be great.
Yes, it's last word time. It's fitness time. Yes, Destiny sweatband, Teddy. Yes, we need that. That Destiny sweatband.
Let's add that to the Bungie store. I'll have my people call Bungie. Let's have it. Let's make it happen.
Destiny sweatband time, baby.
That was great, man. You work up a sweat?
Shout out to Black Wings. Not yet.
I was hoping that he would come back to the mic like, hear him breathing into it.
He's back. He's back. But
okay. So best moment.
Mm-hmm.
I guess for me, it's like the obvious one. We're probably all going to have the same answer based on this conversation, which was like, for me, it was beating the raid day one, getting that emblem and just feeling like a sense of accomplishment. For me, it was doubly great because I don't really care about the the emblem. Like, I'm probably not going to use it. It's kind of fugly in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't like the emblem either. Yeah,
I'm mostly wearing it right now because it's a flex. Like,
it's a flex.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
That's all.
No.
Yeah,
And
facts.
but for me, it was like also like a big deep breath because I could write the review. Like, I was like, all right, we're done. Like, my 2 week just sprint is over. I can be done with it. So I was just really happy with that. But yeah, there were lots of good moments. But I think reaching the end of the raid, and honestly, if you're putting it like my favorite part of the raid was the fourth encounter with the ship. Like that is without a doubt like the best part of the raid. But yeah. Interesting on that.
Yeah, I think I share the same thing.
No, I do not put ketchup on my steak. That's disgusting.
Thank you.
Whoever said that. Who
Sweet
are
Jesus,
you?
thank you.
Yeah, Jesus.
Steak sauce or
steak sauce, or just a la carte, man. Like, you got.
No, I'm asking, do you put steak sauce on there?
Do I usually? No, I'll just eat.
But
like,
you have.
Have I? Yes. I've never put ketchup though. I'm not a psychopath.
No.
Yeah, that's different. Yeah, of course I use steak sauce.
He kills me for that. He thinks we're unethical human beings.
No, okay. So there's a difference of like, hey, you cooked like
he's Texan. He likes it to still have a pulse. He shoots it with his rifle, and then he goes in with his Bowie knife and he carves out a piece. And
fresh kill.
Yeah, fresh kill. That's how they do it in Dallas.
Continue.
No, what were we saying, E? Like, what's your problem with A1? I don't get it.
No, like, okay, no, my point is like, when it comes to like, you can have like a $10 sirloin on like that you grill at home and it's kind of cooked okay. No, my point is like, I keep telling Cognito's like where my wife and I got married and like where we did our, like, I'm talking about like a $60, $70 steak. You need nothing on that but the steak. And he's just like, and he's going to like cover it. And I'm like, dude, you're going to ruin an amazing piece of meat. That's like $70, $80 piece of meat. I'm like, just eat it straight. It's cooked perfectly.
I'm kind of with E on this one. Like, I also by personal preference, I tend to like it without sauce most of the time, but I also put like hot sauce on everything. So like for me, yeah, like
so we in
hot
pocket.
sauce on everything.
We good.
You gotta put.
Gotta put some sauce on.
I bring hot sauce to restaurants. Like if they don't have it, I'll have some. Like in my car. Like
I love this.
Hold on, I'll be back. I gotta take a bathroom break. Where'd that come from? Nowhere.
I learned very quickly. It was making very hot sauce gang. Shout out to Teddy. Yeah, I learned very quickly when we go in the Guardian for GCX with E, and we had the condiment talk, and I was just like,
"Oh yeah,
not one." He's like, "No." I'm like, "Really?" So I was like, "What about hot dogs?" Nope.
Wait, no condiments on hot dogs?
Condiment?
What are you eating? You're just eating a dry bun, my dude.
He doesn't do condiments. Not at all. This is literally like
it's like you're drinking sodium if you eat a hot dog without any condiments, man. Like, what are you doing?
No, it's got to be like I only like. It can't be like, a boiled hot dog. No, it's got to be grilled, so it's got the caramelization on the outside. It's crispy, and then you can toast a bun and put a little butter on it. I would hate to have dinner
with you. You're picky, aren't you?
I'm picky as hell, dude. I am picky as hell. I am absolutely.
You're picky? I knew it, dude. This is because you said I gotta have it, not I prefer it. It's like I gotta have it on the grill. It's like,
I told you,
God.
The picky kid.
You're one of those kids at the table going, "Cut the crust off, mother."
They let him get away with it.
They let you get away with it. Yeah. See, I was poor. I think E probably or Cog probably understands this. When you're poor, man, you are just lucky to get food, man. Like yeah, I had 6 siblings too, so I was fighting my siblings to get the last piece of bread. Like for me, like every day I get to eat anything is a great day. Like I'm not fighting.
Well, I know what to look forward to next time Travis comes back. I'm just gonna put a little sign on my chair and be like, I'm hanging out in Dallas. It's nice here.
Listen, when the world gets better,
I like you, man.
GCX. All of us, we gonna have drinks. We go.
Yeah, and I will have my plain ass hamburger and be happy about it.
And we all gonna congregate and just watch E in his natural habitat.
They'll roast your hamburger, we'll roast you. That's how it'll work.
That's how that goes. But I will tell you, like a place that has a good hamburger patty that like makes a well-cooked seasoned patty, I'll tell you what it is because I actually taste that. Like if a place makes a really good hamburger, seasoned, well-cooked, right, good mix, it's not covered in a bunch of stuff. It's like if I can eat a hamburger plain somewhere, I can promise you it's good because it's not dry, it's juicy, it's like got a good seasoning blend to it. That's when I know something's going to be good. So if you ever need to know, I can tell you because I'm not tasting all the other stuff.
Salute
All right,
to E,
cool.
man.
He's got
The
no
be-
taste buds.
Yep.
Next topic.
Wow,
he's
no, I can actually taste a lot of stuff. That's the problem.
Nah, he's a better
Yeah.
man than me. He's a better man than me. But
I'm
goddamn it,
just
I'm gonna have
kidding,
my
man. I'm
I
just
don't
A1.
know
I'm gonna
about
have my
that. I
ketchup.
don't know if I'd throw it that high.
I just like sauce. I don't know what it is,
Yeah,
but
me
yeah,
too.
if it's a really good steak, like I had a steak in Italy that was like $120 or something like that. I didn't put any sauce on that because I was just like,
Literally,
I feel
salt
like they
and
would be
pepper.
offended. Like you bring out
Oh.
hot sauce at one of those places,
Oh,
they're
yeah,
gonna be
no.
like, "Hey, what are you doing, man? Are you insane?" So
Oh man, I was just thinking
Yeah.
of like Paul Bearer or fruit. What your peas plastic jelly? I'm just that guy. I just own it. I just own it. I just love the idea of adding extra texture to it, just making it
Yeah.
nice. But that's just me. It is what it is.
Cog has to make it his own. He customizes. All right.
Yes, yes.
Oh, City
yes.
Smack. Shake Shack is better than Five Guys, by the way.
Ooh, I think Shake Shack's a little overrated, but I'm saying.
What's your top then?
Good
I
question.
mean, In-N-Out
But
doesn't
he's
hold a
East
candle
Coast.
to it either. So
I like
No, he's not going to be able
Whataburger.
to say In and Out.
I
He's
like
East Coast.
Whataburger. I actually like Whataburger.
Whataburger.
It's a Cali, it's an LA thing. I like Whataburger. I felt this
Whataburger's
big
in
in-
Texas, by the way. We have that.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't
Oh,
know that. I
yeah.
thought it was an LA thing. Okay.
Yeah, Whataburger's
Whataburger's
big
I have
down here.
no. I don't think I have an opinion on this one, guys. I don't. I haven't
Whataburger.
eaten fast food like cheeseburger
that's
in a really long time.
Oh, you're a good man.
Oh, this
been a
man
while,
over here is
yeah.
like, yeah, I'll just go ahead and have my healthy food.
Hey,
like
guys,
Five
we,
Guys.
we
Home
talked
cooked.
before the show, man. I lost a lot of weight recently.
Oh, I know.
I'm trying
You've
to
been
keep it
eating
off.
well. No, I was like, I get it. Trust me. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as what was the question? I forgot the question.
Just like
Oh,
highlight.
superpower. If I could level up something in real life.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if I could have any superpower, it'd probably just be like, I mean, assuming I can't choose like omnipotence, like, is that a superpower? Like, can I just be
Matrix
God?
downloads of all
Or,
Okay,
yeah, or
Thanos.
like omniscience. Like, here's the thing: is that I'm like one of those like picky
want 3
Jews where I have
more
to like
wishes?
pick
Are you,
apart
like-
something anytime you guys
Yeah.
give me a question. I have to
Yeah.
like go, excuse me,
Excuse
is
me.
there a, you know? So, but like,
her say omnipotence as the power. Can I have the the final boss level of
yeah,
power?
am I allowed
like-
to just be God? Because if I can, I choose that. Like, is immortality a superpower? Because I know a lot of people say like, oh, you don't want that, it's a curse. It's like, shut up, I want that. But yeah.
Okay, what if you get old, but you can't? You still age. You're like 1,000 years
Oh,
old.
I have
but you're
immortality,
just,
but I age.
yeah.
I'm Emperor Palpatine. I see this as a complete win. I don't see. You're telling me that I get. Yeah, that sounds great. I would just wear black robes and I'd be like,
And that's all you do is you're just like hooked up to.
yeah.
Nice,
That'd be
nice
me.
voice there. I like
That
that.
sounds
That's
good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, I watch a lot of Star Wars.
What?
I don't mean to brag, but
I don't mean to
watch a lot
brag.
of Star Wars.
These- I got episode 1 through 9 in this brain here. And
That's
more.
right. Yeah, I like how you actually flex to like show me that. I like put up my arm sarcastically, and you're like, "This is what a gun looks like."
This is how we do it in Dallas over here.
How we doing it now?
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm sorry. I don't have
that
people giving me
non-condiment
points
life.
to work out. All right.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's what that non-condiment again.
Yeah.
I was like,
so
just
would
wait till
choose
I put
one-
my calves on screen. That's a different talk.
Or-
yeah,
so
game over.
omniscience, omnipotence, immortality. Assuming that you're going to take all those away because they're not real, I guess I would just choose like intelligence. Like, I know I'm a Titan in the game, so you think maybe I just like want to be Superman or whatever, but like I feel like if I could get closer to being a super villain with like one of those big heads where you see all the veins going down it, I would pick that. I think that would be a cool power.
I
Nice.
respect it. I respect
Yeah.
it. What was the first question again?
Just like highlights
Your
since
favorite
Beyond
moment
Bloodline.
Deep
from-
Stone Crypt.
since the
Yeah,
DLC
Deep
came
Stone
out.
Crypt.
Yeah, it was
we
like-
know what that is. Yeah, Deep Stone Crypt. Raid's always a highlight for Destiny for me. Power. I'm such a surfer fanboy. So I just love Silver Surfer. I think it's cool. Fly the cosmos, having this like invincible skin kind of deal.
Anything
like
in
a
the Earth
demigod.
realm since we just went cosmic.
Since we went yeah, I mean, that's a big power. I need to be, above the regular Earth.
he's like, I'm just good. I'm already
I
almost
like cosmic power.
I'm a
like,
demigod anyway, so is what you're
Yeah.
saying. All
Yeah,
right.
I ain't
all
asking
right.
for omnipotence. I'm just asking for, being able to go where I want, go through time, manipulate matter, surfer. Like, I love surfer. I think it's the coolest character, like flying through the cosmos, go through a black hole. I'm a space guy. I like that stuff. So, I'm about all that. Just being able to do that. I think it's pretty cool. And not having to need to eat or, breathe for sustenance and stuff like that. And got the sun as your natural. He's got the coolest powers. I love me some Silver Surfer, man.
I'm a space guy is the most warlock sentence I've ever heard.
Space magic, come on, man.
I'm a space guy.
Space
There
guy,
you go.
man.
Just summoned up your whole people.
That's literally my class.
I'm a space
Facts.
guy. Yeah.
What about you, Eve?
For me, the moment, I think I probably said it earlier too, but it was just the moment when the music hit in the raid. The music in the spacewalk for me was like the encounter was really cool. The whole arc up and down journey was awesome. But just when that music hit, it was too perfect. Like that was my chef's kiss moment of the entire expansion.
That's crazy.
So far.
We all said the raid was our favorite moment. You guys don't feel like our achievement meant nothing because it was too easy?
We didn't even talk about that. Yo.
I'm goading you guys into a fight. Here's the date.
Is the raid too easy? What?
Let's get it.
Is the
Let's
raid
get it.
too easy?
I'll jump in right quick.
We get into this?
We got to get into it. You're right. We're supposed to do this. We're supposed to do it. Good one, Trav. Look, I have a problem with comments that were made. And, while I understand this is endgame content, and while I understand that, some people are used to having their name in lights and, their completion and stuff like that. And I get it's a badge of honor, right? It's a badge of honor. But at the end of the day, one thing I've always preached is Destiny's raids are some of the best content in gaming, right? So for me, I want more people to participate. So when I look at these comments and people are saying, it doesn't mean anything. Oh, it's devalued. You got this amount of number. Here's my thing. We have 3 factors here. 1, we had the 2 weeks to prepare, right? 2, we were told for probably the first time in a long time what power level you need to be, right? To prep for the raid, right? These are things that weren't really possible with the other thing. And then the biggest thing that I'm seeing nobody talk about, for the first time, which I thought was a brilliant decision, Saturday was the raid day. You know what I'm saying? So again, it's huge for engagement. You know what I'm saying? It's huge. And so you're giving people time to prepare. You're giving people the specific day. So it's just like, I just cringe when I hear those kind of things, and I'm not trying to call anybody out. Listen, what's funny is I'm usually Mr. Entitlement. I'm usually Mr. Endgame Bougie. I only want to have it. But this is more people enjoying the game. More people playing amazing content. How is this a bad thing? How do you sit there and say, oh, I feel devalued? Because, bro, I mean, here's my thing. If you're that good, then why you ain't get worlds first? You know what I'm saying? Like, go get your worlds first then. Like, go do that. Like, don't try to minimize that. I hate this. It bothered me. The comments that were out there, it really bothered me. And I definitely like that so many more people got a chance to experience it. Because to me, it is a travesty that Bungie makes this content. And what's the percentage? 5-10% normally play it. And now more people are saying, yo, I will try that raid and give it a shot. That's all. Ran over. I had to get it on. Thank you, Travis, for this, because I've been sitting on that, but I'm meaning to say it.
It's been in my crawl all week. When I first read that, I was just sort of like, wow, what a like elitist, like just mean-spirited thing to say. Like, for me, I said early in the show, I consider myself like a working man's Destiny player. Like I'm not like a super popular streamer. I don't think that like I'm, the 1% of PvP or PvE god or whatever. But like more people should be able to enjoy this. And I think that everything they did was fair. They told us when the raid was going to be. They told us the power level we need to be at. They made it so that no one had an advantage over another person. Obviously, you had to push it. They did it on Saturday like they did with Garden of Salvation, which I still think is the perfect slot to do it.
I agree.
And they did all this stuff to be like, hey, look, you can kind of get there. 11 days is plenty of time to reach the bar. I got there a few days early. I know some people that got there the first week. I didn't. I appreciate that because I had really bad luck with the drops that I wasn't able to overcome, even on all 3 characters. So I was happy that I had a few extra days. But it's like, not everybody plays Destiny as their job. Facts. Not everybody is going to be able to put in all the time. So it's nice to have the ramp up time. And then also the raid was not easy, dude. I have done every raid day one, and this one took me 13 hours. Like I do not think that it was easy at all. And I also feel like, you know, more people got to experience it. The first day of a raid is very special in a lot of ways. One, so cool. It's super hard to find an LFG group if you don't do it on day one, because everybody's like, oh, you know, we only want people who've done it before. And it's sort of like a chicken before the egg. It's like, how could you play it if you haven't found a group that lets you play it yet, you know? So there's that aspect to it where like more people should be able to play it on day one. But Destiny, I have a problem. This sort of speaks to a larger question of like, who is Destiny made for? Is Destiny made for people like you and I who play the game, or is it made for streamers? And I think some of these streamers are so entitled because they seem like some of the content it was made for them, like trials and the world first competition is basically made for streamers, not the raid content, but some of the world first elements. But to me, Destiny is not made for streamers. It's made for players who enjoy playing Destiny. And I don't think that we should be making events more exclusive and harder for people to enjoy and harder for people to complete and all that stuff. And I'll also say this, there was not a large population of the console playership who completed it.
Yep.
It was a lot of PC people, and the PC people are already pretty elite because they have the wherewithal to spend all this money on a gaming rig. And I have friends that play Destiny way more than me. My friend Jason, he plays Destiny. It's the only game he plays. He's on it at all of his spare time. He's huge. He's like Teddy. He's got like every triumph in the game, that level. He wasn't able to beat the raid on day one. He's a console player. He can't afford a PC. His group is super sweaty, but they just got held up. And, you know, some of that's because when they die, they have to wait like 40 seconds to reload into the encounter. Yeah, that load time. Like part of it is like the platform itself and 30 FPS and all that. But, you know, it shows sort of like the bubble that these people are living in who are saying that, and like the detachment and the and you know, the belittling, and they want to feel like they're more special because they beat it and all that stuff. It's like, I beat it day one. I don't feel any more special than people that didn't. I just feel like I kind of got lucky, and I'm very lucky that I got to play on the PC platform, and that I, you know, kind of used the fact that I'm reviewing the game to end up with a group that was a lot of serious people, you know. So I have a lot of advantages that I feel lucky to do it. But I hope that they make these raids more accessible and continue to kind of on that path. I will say this one caveat. I saw some people saying in the same vein that contest mode should be available in the game because it is a version of the game of the raid that is challenging. I say yes to that. I think that's totally right. The contest mode, to me, I haven't played it not contest mode, but I've heard it's kind of a joke. Like if you know the mechanics, you kind of blow through it in terms of survivability. I don't know if that's true.
It didn't even feel the same.
Yeah, it didn't feel the same. Contest mode felt perfectly balanced to me. And I feel like if they could keep that version of the game, maybe even lock some rewards behind it, I would be totally fine with that. It's just like maybe make that a way that you can guarantee the rocket launcher to drop or something like that.
Yeah,
like
exactly. If you're increase your chances.
But there should be some mode where it doesn't take into account your power and keeps you 20 below and does, because that felt like really perfect to me in a super challenging way.
Agreed, man. On fire. E.
I mean, you guys nailed it all. I mean, seriously, it's like I think the contest mode should be a trigger. Like for Kato saying, it's like, hey, turn that on to unlock a slightly different colored contest emblem as opposed to the purple. It's, I don't know, green or something. So you know there's a distinction of day one versus later. But I still beat contest. Put something else specific behind that. Maybe contest gets you maybe higher stat rolls and drops, or, you know, as he said, increase spoils of war, whatever the heck that stuff is called.
That would be perfect.
Yeah, you beat it on contest every time, you get more of that spoil stuff, so then you can farm better. But if you know the raid, then you're going to be able to farm it on a more efficient basis. I mean, and like I'm stealing from chat because chat is on fire right now.
Yeah,
there was roughly like 18 to 20 times more people that attempted this day one than Last Wish. Like just the number of people who I literally only leveled up my Titan. I was high enough on day one and I didn't do 3 characters. I saved Titan bounties, just one. Didn't do all 3 characters. I got my other 2 characters. I got my Warlock up to 1200 with that buff, but I literally never switched back. I was always on my Titan the whole time. There seemed to be enough things to do to get me there. The leveling in strikes, where you get that occasional +1 that you're like, oh, I got that little bump. I got this here. And if they can give us a little more variety in those playlists, that would help.
Yeah.
But all of those pieces, I was in there on mostly one character almost the whole time, like 12:30. And as you said, like contest, that perfect, like if we would have got the encounters right, got a little more efficiency in builds, and honestly, like that would make you be more efficient in builds. Do I need, Xenophage with, protective light on to understand more build crafting? Because now when you go in, you're going to sneeze at half the stuff and it's going to die. So it really makes you level up. And that's kind of their hard mode, but without having to build one. It's the level, as you said. It's built perfectly for that 20 below. Each encounter is exactly how they want you to experience it. And they've tested it that way. Not, 1,300 in a 12-20 raid. Later on, it's going to be a completely different example. So, no, you guys nailed everything. Chat's on fire. It doesn't hurt my feelings at all, depending on the number of people who do this thing. And as you said, like somebody even said, they paid for this.
Yeah.
5 to 10% of the people play this stuff, but unfortunately, this is something they paid for, and 90% of people don't ever try it. So the more people that experience the raids, this is like we talked for 3 hours, and this is our favorite thing. We're only 3 people, but much less. If hundreds of thousands of more people get into raids, that's more who get into the game and stay in it, man. Especially when those expansions come back, that's something Bungie can bet on. That hey, a raid release, more people come in, more people buy the season, more people buy the expansion. It's that hook that even if they take that break, it's that hook that brings them back, and that can't be a bad thing.
Yeah, sorry to cut you. Yeah, there's so many people that hit me up that are not Destiny players. And was like, yo, I saw, this raid thing. How was it? People asking questions and stuff like that. And I'm just like, bro, when we get in there, December 8th, when you get your 60 frames, I'll be on console. And then I'm going to take you guys through your first one. And they're excited. They see the excitement. Shout out to Teddy. He made a good point because he said more engagement equals more money. This makes Destiny better. It makes Destiny a better game. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, Teddy and I had a great conversation one time, even with like trials and in-game stuff. And it's like, we as the hardcore have to understand, yes, do we want to be rewarded for hard content? Absolutely. But we have to understand when you look at these modes and stuff like that, like a trials or whatever, the reality is it's really for the casual guy for the hope to get that end game reward, to be in the, it's more of them than there are us. If they're more engaged in the game, that makes Destiny a better place. And we can't be in our feelings because someone else have a red little emblem like you. We can't be in our feeling. If you're that dedicated to being the best, then get your world first on, get your Parker, get your raid belt. That's for you, right? That's for the guy who's the best of the best. He throws his championship belt on and he's got his raid Parker and he's, that's what you do. You know what I'm saying? But for us, this is about making the game better, getting more engagement in this amazing game that we know people have not even experienced. And that's pretty much, we just got to stop the toxicity and welcome this content. This is good. So what was the number, E? From like 16K?
Yeah, I think Fourth Auto said it was like 300,000 people or more attempted this one. Last Wish, 16,000. So, I mean, you're literally 18 times more people attempted it, just tried it. And this is on a game that's on year 4 of Destiny 2 and year 7 of the franchise. You just had more people attempt to raid 2 years later. That says something that's not a bad thing. And the more people who do that, the better off we are. And as you said, world first is the race. If you get it in 24 hours, again, some people are going to be like, hey, let's go blind as long as we want to. Okay, strats are out there. Now we're going to go see what it is. We're going to cheat. We're still going to have to accomplish. You still have to execute. I knew the encounter. I understood Atrax. 100% knew what we had to do. Couldn't execute. And that was just the group. Couldn't tie it all together. In 15 hours, I had to pass out because it was 3 a.m. But I was like, I went as long as I could. And I was like, I have to draw a line. At some point, I have to be human tomorrow. But that's the key. And it's on a Saturday. It's perfect. 11 days. You give time. And I got there in one character. This is probably the best build up they've done. And I think
absolutely.
I think just like repeat this one and then just keep building on your core game. But No, the ability to get into it at the right level on day one with one character
and then
for me.
gating people from being too overpowered by putting a cap. So
yeah, the artifact's
that's
not working.
Key to me.
Yep, the artifact's
because
not working.
I hated it. Wasn't just that you had to be raid ready and get a high enough level. It was that you were kind of competing with everyone else to be the highest level. Because if somebody was 10 points above you, even if you were
he's got an
at the cap, they're going to take the person with 10 more points. So it becomes who has the most time, who has the luckiest drops. That's like not fun. Like I agree. Yeah, that's just so
the
bad.
power per hour was not an issue.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you nailed it, Travis. That cap, that, hey, no matter what you're over this 1230, it's not going to have, you're no different than anybody else. That is the amazing part of contest mode. And like you said, just add contest mode in the future.
Yep.
For a thing, people like it, and you got a problem. I think they're on it. And then, like I told you, I really love the reward. They nailed it. They nailed it with this raid. The reward system, everything about it. As a pack, as I do it more, then me, Eve, we will revisit raid rankings.
Yeah,
I just got to do it a couple more times. But yeah, that's where I'm at with it, man.
Yeah,
we are at a whopping 3 hours. So
we got that.
I was like,
every time I come on this show, we didn't even get to talk about Shah Han or the Cosmic Realm New Light stuff.
We still haven't done a Fast and Furious chat with you. Oh my God, it still hasn't happened.
It's like,
how is
one
that?
Of these times.
One of these times, we're gonna just do a Star Wars, Fast and Furious.
Me, Teddy, I don't know. I don't think Teddy's into Fast and Furious, but yeah,
I've watched all of them. You know, the next one's going to space, right?
Yeah, well, we can talk more about it, but your information's outdated. I mean, I'm not going to call you out on air, but like, I'm just like,
I heard, and apparently I'm wrong. Which I was going to be like,
you're not wrong. It's okay. Anyway, we can get into this now, or we can.
Oh, no, it's like we got to. Yeah, we'll wrap now, and if you can chat afterwards. This recording is going to be big enough as it is. But as we do like the outro, the floor is yours, sir. Let them know where to find you, what to go read. Is there anything you got cooking next? What are any projects you got coming up for you, and where they can find all of your stuff?
Thank you. Yeah, I think I'm kind of off the hook for a little bit. Right now, I'm catching up on games. I didn't get to play Yakuza Like a Dragon at all, so I'm catching up on that. I'm playing some Gears Tactics. I'm really liking that game. Playing some Demon Souls. I'm a big Souls fan, so I'm going to get to play.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm playing through one of my old favorites there. And then what else am I working on? You can read my review of Destiny 2 Beyond Light on IGN.com.
Amazing.
I think they dropped it in the chat a little while ago.
Yep, I dropped it again.
And you can find me on Fireteam Chat every Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific is when we have the episodes. And we're not on this week because of Thanksgiving, but we'll be back on next week to talk about the raid and talk about my review and all that stuff. And that's cool. But
we got first dibs on the review chat.
Yes, you did. You got first dibs on the review and my raid impressions before Fireteam Chat because they're wimps and they wanted to spend time with their families.
this man over here is so dedicated, sets out time for us, man. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, happy to do it. And also you can follow me on Twitter at TieGuyTravis if you want to learn about Destiny, Star Wars, Fast and Furious, and my encyclopedic knowledge of the Roman Empire, I guess.
That's a new addition. We'll have to quiz you on all things Roman Empire.
I have lots of stuff I know too much about. That's one.
This man must read some books out there.
I do.
Yeah. Voracious reader.
I was insufferable during the election because one of my majors in college was electoral policy and statistical analysis. So I know about all of the districts and how many electorates. I'm hard to be around when we get into one of my topics.
The
that
electoral
I know about,
college and gerrymandering is just going to light a fire under you, I'm sure. So.
Oh yeah, I could talk to you. We could do a whole 4-hour show just on that.
Don't forget, I'm statue for that Mass Effect 1 versus 2 debate when I got coming up. Remember that one?
Dude. Should we do a special cast when they do the remaster of Mass Effect?
Let me play the remaster, and then I want to join because I can be fresh eyes for a first time.
That'll be the show. We'll talk about it as you go through it.
There we
go.
We'll just make you a weekly. We'll make you a weekly as I play through. I got to this point. All right, guys, this is the first part of the.
Here's a 10-minute segment with Travis.
It'll be good from a new guy's perspective to analyze.
Yeah, I'll be curious. I'm really excited. I've only heard amazing things from certain my brother, friends who are huge gamers. It's up there for so many people I know. So I honestly have waited this long and was heard about a remaster and rumored. So I was like, hopefully I get to experience it right. So I'm excited.
Yeah, that'll be cool if you have time for it. We got Cyberpunk next week, so
Oh yeah.
When that
Versus
thing's like
2
later
weeks.
though. Mass Effect's like next year.
Yeah, Mass Effect
that's
next
true.
year.
That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mass
yeah.
Effect next year. We got time.
But who knows how long Cyberpunk will take you? It might take
Yes.
you months.
Yeah,
Like Witcher
it's-
3 was like a 6-month period for me where that was like the
Oh.
only game I was playing.
I'm gonna have to set out like a
That-
day of stream and be like, all right, this day is just fill in the blank, and one of those definitely gonna have to be like Cyberpunk to make it a consistent work through. Because no, it's too big.
Mm-hmm.
Cognito, sir, what about you? What do you
Yeah,
got
man.
coming? Any big podcast guests sleeping? Are you guys taking a break? Are you guys on?
We still rocking. We still got a couple of joints. We're gonna shout out. First of all, shout out to TieGuy, man. Travis,
Thanks,
man.
man.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah.
Always having you in here. Always amazing discussions. Always have a good time, man. So we will do that again. Absolute pleasure. Love the review. You know what I'm saying? Please check that out. Very detailed, very fair. You know what I'm saying? So respect on that. I like the perspective you took on that. And yeah, man, you already know me, Iron Law Podcast on Sunday. I think we're gonna have FC Violent on. So we're gonna talk about a lot of what is going on as far as I think Phil Spencer's comments, some possible PS5 stuff going on as far as the GPUs. So we're gonna look into that. And then what else we talking about? What other hot button topic that was kind of cool? But a lot of next gen stuff. So come check us out. That'll be Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern, Iron Law Podcast. Check that out. And of course, lordsgaming.net. Appreciate all the support for the articles and stuff like that. We've been rocking and rolling. A lot of stuff cooking with that. And of course, that Last Word podcast. You know how we do. So come check us out, man. Fridays with a rotating schedule. But
Yeah, like people are like, when is it? I'm like, changes a lot. It's all
whenever
for the
we
guests.
can accommodate the guests. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So
we
we
will
do
get
that.
you
But
guys
yes,
in every time.
salute to Ty and a salute to the positive feedback we've been getting from having on Sky Lewin from Bungie, having the talking music, his whole history from TV and stuff like that. Guys really showed out support, which was very cool. And look to do kind of more of that stuff in the future as well. So, Bungie, if you're listening.
Yeah.
We like more you guys to come on. You know what I'm saying? It's really fun to actually, I call it like giving your heroes of roses while they can smell them. And now experiencing the raid after having Sky on really
Dude.
hits different because we talk about Deep Stone Crypt Lullaby now. We know it. And even that music that I was saying, I was like, oh, that was one of the boss encounters in the raid. And it just, there were certain tracks I was trying to figure out. And I know he couldn't talk for spoiler purposes, but yeah, man. So salute to, again, I will die on that sword. Destiny has some of the best music, and it's a travesty that it does not get nominated, but we figured out the loophole, and Scott doesn't worry because Scott got an ass cap, so he's like, yeah, take your little game awards. He's good. But that's what I got. But E, what you got going on, man?
Well, for me, streaming does seem to be better. Obviously, the podcast has been much more reliable tonight, so internet seems to be fixed, even though it's not fiber like these fancy people out here. Just, our Dallas internet of trash out here.
Coast.
No, for me, I am just kind of finishing up. I'm kind of doing this in progression of games that I hear are not as good to good. I'm starting with Godfall just because I started on it, wanted to experience it. Kind of want to get through at least the story, see it through. But Demon Souls is like, that one's
Good
just
luck.
waiting for me.
Waiting for you to stream that. You are hilarious streaming them Souls games. I'm going for you're very entertaining. Because you have like this stoic demeanor and the intensity is like revving up. And then like when E does this is when you know the boss is crazy difficult. Like he does this stone pin and the mouth's open. And I'm like, oh, it's whoever he's fighting right
Just
now,
gonna
this
strap
is
my
hell.
mouth shut now.
Yes, it's
Have you
hilarious.
played Demon Souls before, Tex, or is this your first run?
Wow, I'm text now. Okay. No, so I started with Bloodborne was my first Souls game. And then
God, the worst one.
No, I actually like Bloodborne.
People like Bloodborne, but careful now.
I was like, Bloodborne's good. Like, now, if it could ever get a 60 frames per second
Okay, so
patch-
when I say it's the worst one, it's because it's like, I started with Dark Souls 1, which is like the hardest game. And to
Okay,
me,
yeah.
Bloodborne's like my first Souls game. It's like it's way
Well,
easier.
it is in a way.
It's
It is in a way.
It's easy. You get health back from hitting things.
But you have to play aggressively. You don't really have a shield to block with either. So
Yeah, but you like so. Okay, so if we're gonna get into this, yes, of course you don't have a
He got
shield.
you. He got you, Travis.
You don't
he
have
got
a shield,
you.
but here's why the game to me feels like very casual. One, I beat it in like an afternoon, probably because I've played way too many Souls games. Like I have every achievement in all the Souls games, yada yada. Flex.
Flex.
But you only have one character class, right? Like
Yeah.
the main feature of the Souls games for me is like you can be a mage, you can be a pyromancer, you can be a sword guy. Like there's lots of there's that thing, and then the fact that like you don't really have to play carefully. If you can get enough hits, you can get your health back. That's my main problem with it. But whatever. Nobody agrees with me. Every review for Bloodborne is glowing except mine. I thought it was just okay. I mean, I don't know.
Like somebody in chat said it too. Jedi Fallen Order is baby's first Souls game for sure.
That's actually true.
That's 100%
I love that
true.
game.
And I love that game. It was
game.
So good. But I was like,
it's so good.
That is first. So I was like, I started with Bloodborne and then Dark Souls 3. Like I beat the Nameless King. I'm good. That guy is a complete pain in the butt. So I was happy to beat him. But I played them all since. Like Mortal Shell, played that one. That was a great little experience.
That was a weird game. I reviewed that for someone.
That was a very weird experience. Like lore and whatever the hell's going on in that world. But a cool little.
I like that it was short. That was cool.
Yeah, it was perfect. Like,
I guess I appreciate that now. When Bloodborne came out, I was like, this game's too short. And now I'm like, thank God games are short.
Thank God it was only like 10 hours. Perfect. Yeah. But no, like this is the one that started a whole genre of stuff I love. And could be one of the prettiest games that we have to experience right now. So I can't wait. And then the other one's Spider-Man, but that's a narrative, and there's no rush for me to do that. Yeah. But I got the transfer over, so I got my PS4 save exported, so I got that working. That patch works. I confirmed that one. So and that's like I want to play the DLC there, which I know leads into Miles, and then I want to play Miles. So it's like I got stuff to stream and play somewhere in between Destiny, but Destiny's finally getting to kind of a manageable maintenance point, it feels like at this point. So
we didn't even get to talk about the Game Awards nominations. That happened too as well this past week.
This is just the longest episode ever.
I know. Yeah. I'm sorry.
There's so much.
No.
So many things we didn't get to bring up.
I know.
Yeah. Hey, Destiny did get nominated for Best Ongoing or whatever that
did. So Half-Life Alyx did not get nominated for Game of the Year, and I am pissed. I'm not okay with it.
Anyway, there are a couple. And that one I think is just the number of people, but there's only so much for VR.
But it got nominated for other stuff, which means that they knew the game existed. They just didn't give it the Game of the Year, and that to me is like. I'm just very upset.
I feel you, brother.
Best ongoing and best community. If Destiny doesn't ever win like best community, dude, like there is nothing that holds a candle to it. I'm sorry.
They should just hand that trophy to Deej. That should be his swan song from the.
Well, now Dylan's going to be accepting those. It seems like so. Got the next hot seat there. But yeah, it's like just working through all the stuff that's sitting here on the console. Mortal Phoenix Rising, whatever that weirdly named game is, I've heard is actually pretty fun. The Ubisoft Zelda adventure thing, and then Cyberpunk we know is going to be Cyberpunk. I'm going to have to plaster like a warning on my streams, like craziness, sex, mature. Like I don't know what all this game is going to have because I haven't seen too many previews.
Get ready.
There is an endowment slider, so that alone ought to tell you everything you need to know.
Wow.
Yes.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Make sure you're packing in this universe, man.
I love. You know what I love is that these big open world games, they seem to like really enjoy the details that are like weird. Like remember how the Red Dead Redemption 2 they kept talking about how your horse poops?
Yes,
like, I just remember that being like why are you guys are spending time on this and you're using it in like your marketing? Like what's wrong with you guys?
It's so real, the horse poops. I'm like, I don't need like a doll that I have to manage like poop cycles on. I'm good with the horse poop. Just be a horse. Don't poop.
It's like your Neopet.
Yeah, exactly.
Hilarious.
So it's like honestly, like it's a good time to be a gamer and never enough time to play it all. But it's nice we got a solid expansion for Destiny. And as I said, it's like there's up and downs of this thing, and I've been saying it to everybody who's asked me. But I will say I am intrigued where everything goes, as always.
Yep.
They have the dangling story thread. I want to know what's next. I just wish I knew what was going on in the writers' heads for the next 3 years.
As do we all. Let's just hope that they have a plan.
Black Wings, the stream is ready to eat everything. Everything is going to be in this stream. Endowment, sliders, naked people, robot sex, who knows?
Yeah.
So
you should see if there's like in Gears of War, I know there's like a gore toggle. You can turn the gore off and then they like chainsaw them with basically Nerf guns and they just get all the ground. Like it's so lame. You should see if there's something like that for Cyberpunk.
That's hilarious. I didn't even know about that.
Oh, dude, I turned it on because I was playing with somebody who didn't want to see it, and I was just like laughing because like you chainsaw them, and like the thing you don't see in Gears of War is when you chain somebody in half after they turn into giblets, they enter ragdoll, and seeing them enter ragdoll while they're still a full person is so weird because they like fall off your saw like
I did
You know,
it.
just like flop all over the place. You're just like, what? What happened to you?
Oh, Forcado says it has a nudity filter. I will say, like, this is where we are in the
There
state
you
of
go.
streaming, though. The DMCA, you can turn off copyright protected songs in Cyberpunk.
Oh wow!
I saw
Okay,
that.
cool,
That's a really
cool.
good feature for Twitch streamers.
I mean, if you want that game to be out there, it's almost a must right now because
Must.
people have gone through and deleted every VOD possible, and they still have. It's ridiculous. So yeah, it's
Ridiculous.
It's an exciting future, and one of the biggest games of the year has yet to be here.
Streamers, right?
Yeah, seriously,
Hashtag
we're the
streamer problem.
we're the worst. Absolutely, us Texas streamers, man, you can't. They're a pain in the ass.
With their unreliable internet and
Oh
my
uncondimented
Unreliable
meals.
internet, green screens. Even though we got Destiny, just so many.
No
things
ketchup on their hot dogs, like
Oh,
animals.
yeah.
Going in on you. I gotta defend him. He going in.
Nah, man, it has been an
Hilarious.
absolute pleasure as always. You are welcome back literally anytime you want. You know that we have way too much fun when you're on here because I'm smiling like I went to a comedy show, so we had a
Yeah.
blast.
Yes,
Yeah, you guys are friends now. I consider
Appreciate
you friends. So
Appreciate
anytime
it.
you need me, I'll
Likewise.
come back on. Happy
Awesome,
to do it.
sir.
Likewise, man. Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, we got to get you and Teddy on, and I just want to watch the fireworks go on. I need to put like Tasmanian devil animations on the screen while you guys duke stuff out. So
Yeah, you'll have to find a way to make it so we don't make out during that convo because
you guys are
we're
going to
talking
have
about
to
Destiny
be.
and
We need social
Yeah.
distancing
No
frames. You guys
Osiris
are going
and
to be in
Safe
separate
14.
corners.
Stuff happening.
Social distancing.
Teddy and I get along way too well, except for
Salute to Teddy.
he didn't get me in his raid group, and I still haven't forgiven him for it. So.
Yeah, well,
Ooh, shout out to Team Concern.
he wanted somebody at proper skill level, so that's why he didn't
Oh
grab it.
wow!
Bang, bang.
Wow! No, what he wanted was somebody who could carry him.
Oh, shots are fired! Oh my gosh,
It's a war zone right now.
this is like the bonus to the podcast. This is all.
Yeah,
the,
this is
if
the
you
behind the
if you made it
scenes.
to the end, you got the good stuff. So thank you
Yeah,
all who made
there
it
you
to
go.
the end. I do want to wrap up. Remember,
Oh, don't forget to donate to the charity.
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, look for the links. Game to Give. It's all going to iPads for kids and children's hospitals. Good stuff going there. And I think for this episode, we actually got to tie a bow on this thing somehow. So thank you guys very much. Chat's awesome. I'm going to figure out where we're going to raid after this. But November 27th, it has been an amazing episode. This is episode 129. And for this episode, it has been The Last Word.
Last word.